verbal riot.
What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the show. Apparently, I started the show without hitting the live button, so this is like the second take I'm doing this. And you guys missed a whole lot, apparently, because I was just talking like a moron for like 5 or 10 minutes while realizing that it wasn't even recording. So I think we're live now. I think all is good, and I have just been completely out of it this week. I've been making mistakes that I normally never make, and you know what, though? I'm due. I'm due, because remember how I always tell you guys that eventually I'm going to mess up really bad when I'm doing this live show? And I don't know, maybe if this is the worst that I mess up, then thank God. But I'm expecting something bigger. So anyway, guys, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. It's Thursday. It's my favorite day. It's my favorite day because I get to hang out with y'all. We get to talk about shit and blow off everything until the weekend, right? So yeah, what I was saying before I realized I wasn't recording was that last night I was invited to a party that I normally go to. It's the infamous party in Hollywood. It's kind of a networking thing where people in the industry get to hook up with other people in the industry and talk shop and drink. And usually it's the same, unfortunately, boring conversations that we have every time we go to this party. See the same people all the time, but we go and hang out, and every now and then we'll meet somebody interesting. I usually go with Chris Gore and a bunch of the other guys. And last night, apparently, I missed the party of the year. I missed their biggest party, and here I am thinking like, oh, it's just another infamous party. I could skip this one. Nope, because the one I skip is the one where everybody comes to, right? And Chris Gore had no problem rubbing my nose in it that I missed out on some really cool shit. One of which was him being able to take a picture with Snoop Dogg. And I'm pissed that I missed that. I wish I could have been there. I should have been there. I should have been hanging out. But you know what? I'm glad he got to hang out and have a good time. I know the people that came with him also had a good time. I know our friend Alex was there with some of the girls from Jumbo's Clown Room, and apparently I missed out on quite a bit. But you know what? That's all right. That's all right. I mean, I'll go to many more. But anyway, I'm glad you got to hear. And I got a surprise for you. You guys, I'm not alone this time. This time, I told you guys I was going to have guests on. I did tell you that at some point. But I wanted to wait because I needed a good reason to have someone on. And I think this week kind of gave me that reason. And I have two extremely talented, lovely ladies joining me today, and I'm so happy they're here. First off, I'm going to start with the queen of all media, Stephanie from Minority Home.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here. This is your first time.
It is. It's my first time here.
It's your first time. Normally, I don't mess up this bad.
Stream plenty with you. This is my first time on your channel.
Yes, we stream a lot together. But this is your first time on the channel.
Yes.
Yeah, it's normally not this sloppy. I gotta tell you. Today is just
okay.
Wild.
We started talking about naps, and I feel like that's where your brain was. It was just like, man, I really want a nap. A nap sounds really good.
I got a nap on the brain. But yeah, I'm so glad you're here, and thank you so much for hanging out. And I know we're gonna have a lot of crazy things to talk about tonight, so buckle up, buckle in.
Yep. I'm excited.
The other person joining us tonight is the princess of cosplay herself.
Hi!
The Ashton Blaise.
Hi!
Ashton, it's also your first time on the show.
Yeah, I think we've done a few streams together with Chris, but I've never actually been on the show.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And I know we've been kind of planning this for a while to hang out.
Yeah.
We've and things keep happening where we couldn't, either you were busy or I was busy. But we finally made it happen. Glad you're here. And before we get into any of the topics, and this is a question for both of you guys, because people always wait to the end to do these things, but I want to know, what do you guys have going on right now? Like, what's been happening?
I'm just making videos on my channel and streaming. Streaming Lego. Actually, I'm making the Avengers Tower. I'm building the Avengers Tower right now
with actual Legos.
Yeah, actual Legos.
Wow.
It's 5,200 pieces. So
oh my God.
I have 3 levels built so far. When it's done, it'll go up to like my waist. It's really high.
Jesus.
Yeah, big build. Yeah. But other than that, just making videos on my channel. And I actually just found out while you were doing your intro that Snow White is re-releasing in theaters for Mother's Day. Isn't that awesome? Go and take your mom to see the movie about the evil stepmother who
ever
tried
made.
to kill her stepdaughter. That's what I want to see for Mother's Day.
That is
Yeah.
crazy. That is crazy.
Hey,
work,
Mom.
man.
Hey, Mom. Do you want to go see the worst rated movie on IMDb?
That is crazy work,
Happy
man.
Mother's
Like,
Day.
who thought that was a good idea?
I don't know. It's
gonna lie.
re-releasing in 1,200 on 1,200 screens.
I
That's
don't think
insane.
listen, I don't think it was good, but I don't think it was as bad as Little Mermaid or as the live action Lion King. But I strongly feel the opinion that we need to stop making live action movies.
Yes.
Because this, like,
Sure.
honestly, the moment they announced that they got, like, I think it was like Mia Khalifa or someone to play Meg in the live action Hercules, and then they said they were not going to do it anymore because Snow White did so bad. I was like, thank goodness. Thank goodness. I was so happy. And then Tangled got completely booted.
Yes.
And then JoJo Siwa's audition tape got leaked. And I'm like, oh, whatever will we do with
God,
JoJo
JoJo
Siwa's
audition
tape and Hansel? Whatever will we do?
Wait, are you kidding? Wait. Back up.
JoJo's-
Did you say Mia Khalifa?
Yes.
I'm
The
pretty,
porn,
yeah.
the porn star.
No, wait, no, never mind. I said the wrong name.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like,
not- There's-
what?
There's a singer. Oh gosh, wow, that would.
I'm like, wait. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, in my mind,
Hold
I'm trying
on,
to
let
process
me
what you
fact
said.
check myself. I tend to need to do this a lot. Okay, hold on. Oh my gosh, Oh no, that would have been. Well, I'm really glad someone stopped me there. Let me lie back. Like it was supposed to be Liz Gillies, which I think people wanted it to be, and then it ended up not being, which made me lose my interest. Oh, Dua Lipa. The name sounds familiar.
Okay, that makes complete sense. Like, that makes a lot more sense.
I do still wish it was Liz Gillies, but it's not happening more anyway, which makes me a little sad because Danny DeVito was going to play Phil, which I feel like is the only accepted reason to bring back Hercules. But we don't need more live actions. We don't need a live action Tangled. We don't need a live action Moana. We don't need a live action this and this and this and this and this. Like Cinderella, fantastic. Beauty and the Beast, little too much auto-tune, and then after that it just went downhill.
I have a conspiracy theory. This is my
let's
they're
hear
like,
it.
we're gonna cancel all of the live action Disney movies. Okay, we're canceling them all. Hooray! The internet is singing Disney's praises. Yay. That's right. We're not gonna have any more live action movies. Yes. And then Lilo and Stitch is gonna come out and do numbers. And then Moana live action is going to come out and probably do numbers as well, because that's such a big franchise. People love Moana. And then they're going to be like, you know what? Maybe people do want these live action movies. And then they'll do it all over.
Yeah,
I was excited for Lilo and Stitch up until they're like, oh, people are complaining there's not enough natives. I know, let's get the ice cream guy to be played by a native, but that's completely against. The problem with that is, if you understand Lilo and Stitch, is that Lilo takes pictures of only tourists. It's a way to sort of make fun of the white people who go to Hawaii and take pictures of complete strangers trying to mind their own damn business. Like, it's Lilo's way of sort of making fun of the white tourists by taking pictures of them. So you have the guy with the ice cream cone be a native guy, and it takes away the entire purpose of Lilo doing that. And people are kind of pointing out Disney where I'm messing up with that, but I will say I do like the CGI for Stitch. He's very cute. Very cute.
He is good. He is good. To be fair, people are complaining that the ice cream guy is being played by a native. Like, I have seen people complaining about that. They said that he should have been, a big fat white tourist guy, because that's what he was in the movie. So I have been seeing people complain about that. Even the people that are complaining about Nani being too light are complaining that the ice cream guy is being played by
I don't think Nani is
complain about that.
She is a native, first of all. She is native. But I just feel like I just feel like it gets to the point where there's so many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt about the Barbie movie. I did enjoy the Barbie movie, by the way, but I felt like from an entertainment perspective, I was entertained, but from like an actual viewing point perspective, it felt like there was too many voices probably in the writing room, which is what a lot of movies in Hollywood sound like today. I've already had this rant a million times with both of you while streaming. I just feel like it seems like it's not so much for me. Like I understand this is probably the not favorable opinion, especially on Verbal Riot's channel.
No,
I don't think so much. I don't think it's much of a woke issue, but mainly an issue of, or even liberal politics issue, but mainly an issue of people have forgotten how to write stories. Because I feel like liberal politics and liberal ideas have always existed in media in some form, but there was a way of doing it. Whereas now it just feels like there's so many people who are like, what if we try to do it like this? And it's always this artistic mess of trying to prove how intellectual the movie is without making it entertaining, and that's the problem.
No, and you are part right about
Disney
that.
is doing.
You are part right. There are well, I don't want to say there's a lack of writers. There's a ton of talented writers in Hollywood.
There's too many writers in one room is what I'm saying.
They don't want the talented ones. They want the activist ones, right? And so instead of, getting the same story, the same, like, let's just say liberal story, instead of it getting told in a smart way, in a subtle way, now because these people don't know how to write, these activists, not the writers, but the activists, they know nothing but to use like a sledgehammer to hit you over the head with a message. You know what I mean?
I think,
and that's the problem.
I think another issue is the Barbie movie, because I feel like the Barbie movie, I liked it up to a certain point,
right?
But I think the problem with the Barbie movie was that it's not liberal politics. It's that modern feminism was inserted into that movie, and that's what I didn't like about it.
I will say that Barbie's always been a modern feminist icon. I don't want to go too off what we were originally talking about.
She's been a feminist icon, 100%. It's just the story that they put into that.
It felt like, well, the problem is that the Barbie movie had like 10 different storylines going on, and it felt like to me like there was no real villain. No one was really sure what was happening or going on. Again, it feels like most movies nowadays, and again, kind of going back to what Verbal was saying about, too many activists writing. I almost feel like if you look at like when it goes to the credits, they usually credit one main writer, but that writer now isn't just writing it themselves with a few people editing. That writer has a bunch of assistants who are in a room together saying, okay, how can we impress our boss? Basically, you have a million people who just graduated college who are basically going back and forth with ideas, and they're focused so much on a singular joke or a singular idea and not an actual plot that it sounds all over the place. And this isn't just the Barbie movie. This is like a lot of movies, most movies lately, which I would argue is an issue.
Greta Gerwig had a lot to say about the movie. Like even though I think it was written by someone else, I think she made all the calls.
Well, she directed it.
Well, she did, but she also changed. I mean, here's the thing. Usually, look, when a script goes to print or when it's time to film, what happens is the writer will write it, but then the director will get a hold of it, and then he'll make all the changes he wants to make to the script. And once the director makes the changes to the script, that's it.
That's what happened with all the Harry Potter movies, and even early on the Harry Potter movies. I mean, my gosh, I'm sure Stephanie and I can go back and watch the Harry Potter movies and say, that's Ron's line. Why is Hermione saying that?
Oh, yeah.
That's because Christopher Columbus very much favored Hermione. He gave her all the best parts. So originally, Ron was supposed to have all the Wizarding World knowledge, and Hermione was supposed to have all the knowledge that she could read in books. So both friends were very useful in the sense of what kind of knowledge they possessed. And then Ron just kind of became like the dumb scare spiders guy.
The buffoon.
Yeah, occasionally likes to eat scare spiders. Comedic aspect,
But see, again, that was the director's call to do that, right? Like the director is the one who changed the story. And that's what happens in Hollywood is someone will write a script. Then once it gets in the hands of the director, he will make the changes that he wants to make. So
yeah.
And here's the problem with that, though. Here's the biggest problem with that is when an actor gets a script from his agent, right? Yeah. What he's reading is the writer's words. But once it goes to the director and the director changes everything, because you always wonder, how did this person end up in this movie? How did they sign up for this movie? Or why would they do this to their career, right? The problem is that they didn't do that to their career. They signed up for a movie they read from the writer, and then once the director got it, they messed it up. And
I will say, like Rachel Zegler, listen, I don't agree with Rachel Zegler on everything she says. Snow White's actually my favorite princess, so hearing the mean things she said about Snow White made me really sad. However, I will say a part of me kind of feels like I feel like someone like her, one, wasn't meant to be Snow White. I feel like Snow White's always been a very sensitive, sweet, very feminine. Like her main attributes, I feel like, was very helpful to Snow White was that she was always optimistic and sweet, and there was just an inherent goodness about her. And Rachel Zegler has a very fiery persona. And I think Rachel Zegler would have made a better Belle, if anything. Her personal opinions aside, I feel like casting basically saw West Side Story, was like, oh, girl with brown hair, we can grab her really quick and put her in this position. And it sort of forced them to rewrite Snow White altogether because they were so focused on Rachel Zegler as a person and not the character Snow White. Because she can sing, she can act, but I don't think she was the right character for Snow White. So I kind of see where you're coming from. I have an off feeling that Snow White, they had to go back and forth and redo a lot of stuff because of what the public was saying and yada yada.
Well, she was actually recommended to the director of Snow White by Steven Spielberg. So she had a personal recommendation from Steven Spielberg for Snow White. And it's our stream now.
It's our stream.
Yeah,
I am the captain now.
Literally taking over the stream. But she had a recommendation from Steven Spielberg. In fact, Steven Spielberg was the one that told her or hinted to her that she got the part before they even told her. And I think the reason that he recommended her, honestly, is I believe that Snow White is a soprano, and so is Rachel Zegler. And
she's a fantastic singer.
Yeah, she can sing those super high notes. The problem is they didn't put those songs in the movie. She ended up singing the ballad.
Oh my gosh!
Singing those high soprano songs that go in the movie, which is probably my
One song is one of
recommended her in the first place.
One song is one of the most beautiful songs ever written in Disney history. First of all, I want to go talk about the original idea we're going to talk about. Snow White was the first ever full-length feature film that was entirely animated. The first full-length feature film with its own soundtrack,
and it almost bankrupted Disney.
It did,
but it also developed so many different things that we use in animation still today. Like Snow White quite literally revolutionized animation in the film industry, as well as music in the film industry. And one song was considered one of the most beautiful songs ever written at the time. I just the fact that they removed that song makes me so sad. I don't like what they did to the prince. He's now like some weird, for me, the prince, not really Prince, but I guess Robin Hood type burglar character. He
was the beard. Let's just say that he was the beard of the movie.
It just felt like Disney was like, bitches love Flynn Rider. Let's take away every single good attribute about Flynn Rider and make this thing. That was basically the guy in the film. Just like
but they're re-releasing it for Mother's Day, which is kind of
weird.
That is the craziest thing.
A movie about evil stepmom is the Mother's Day movie. Okay. I don't know who's making these decisions, to be honest with you.
He was a not charming Robin Hood, is what I should be saying. Like,
yeah, he's a mix of Robin Hood and Flynn Rider. And if you're gonna mix those two things together, you cast the wrong guy. Because
I don't think he was a mix. I feel like they took Robin Hood and Flynn Rider and go, what's likable about these two? Let's throw it away. Let's just toss it into the garbage can.
and if you notice, like, they didn't even pick like a masculine guy to be,
That's what I'm saying. They picked the wrong guy.
Yeah. And I get it. And you know why? I get it. They didn't want a masculine guy to be the hero of the film, right? They wanted Snow White to be the hero. So they got the most feminine guy they could to play her love interest, which, by the way, not much of a love interest. He kissed her on the chin.
Energy.
He kissed her on the chin and she woke up. I'm like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah. He had I'm like, okay. Bach energy. Like, I feel like every girl has met a man where he's like a severe, you know what I'm talking about, Stephanie.
There's one
guy who like you went on one date with, but he gave Bach energy, and so you're like, oh man.
Wait, you gotta explain that. You gotta explain what Bach energy
is.
You've seen Wicked.
Bach is like the guy who tries way too hard to prove to you that he's the right guy. Like he has to explain to you why he's nice all the time. It makes you wonder, why are you trying to remind me how nice you are? Like what is wrong with you that you're not telling me? Like, why do you feel the need to prove it to me? And like like, I don't want to say trying too hard, because guys who try too hard, at least like they're trying. It's when the guy is so insecure with himself, he has to remind the woman how good he is. And it makes you wonder, what about you should I be concerned about? Are you a stalker? Are you weird? Like, what's going on here?
You know what? It's kind of funny that you bring this up, because we're actually going to be talking about that tonight.
Fantastic.
Oh, nice.
I love.
We're going to talk about this because recently, and you know what? I might as well just make this like our first topic, since you've already kind of opened the door to that. Joy Taylor, I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she's kind of like she's this Black female sports personality. She's pretty gorgeous. I mean, she's has a lot of controversy behind her. Like there's a rumor that not a rumor, I think it's kind of being confirmed that she kind of slept her way to the top, kind of a thing.
Who is she? What's she famous for?
I'm going to bring up her video right now. So okay. She's basically a Black female sports analyst, right? And they bring her on different sports shows, to talk about especially like women's sports and things like that. And she was one of the main people talking against Caitlyn, that basketball player, the white basketball player chick, Caitlyn, can't remember her last name.
I don't know who these people are. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, no, but here's the thing. What she does is she's a big personality. She a lot of people know who she is. But she was on a talk show recently, and she made a comment about why she doesn't want to date spiritual men or religious men, right? And it kind of
religious.
It kind of hits a little bit on what you were talking about, Ashton. But I'm gonna play the video so that we can kind of see what she was getting at.
Because I'm interested.
Yeah, it was
is it like man bun spiritual, or like everything I do is based on energies?
Oh no, she's talking about like people who go to like church, God, that whole thing.
So Christian men.
Christian, yeah. I think this is it right here.
I want to hear what she has to say first before I make a comment.
Yeah. I mean, it's 1 second. Because I'm not saying she's completely wrong either. I'm just saying like it's just kind of, yeah, here it is. So this is what she had to say on this talk show she was on.
I get what you're saying. What about it? What else?
She is pretty.
Possible for you.
I'm less and less interested in religious men, if I'm being honest with you. I told Paul this the other day. I don't know. You hit me with the man of God thing. But you
say God a lot on your podcast.
God?
Yeah, you're like, God. Oh my God.
Oh my God. No.
Oh my God is different.
Oh my God is different than being
God.
a man of God. If you're leading, I don't know. I've just had some. I've had some negative experiences with people that lead with their religion.
Are you religious?
Not really. No. So I would say I'm a person of faith, but I'm not. Okay. I was raised in a Baptist church, very, very religious family. I don't think that just because you're a Christian that you are, not living a good life. I'm just saying, if that's the first thing that you bring to the table, it's a red flag for me, because I don't
they're hiding behind their
I
religion.
Don't care. Why? What does
this
happen
with that before? That's what that happened.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
I absolutely. Yeah. I'm acknowledging. I'm triggered by this, and it's become a red flag for me.
Okay, so she's saying that she doesn't want a guy who has religious beliefs, or I mean, I don't know what to take from that. I don't know if she's saying that she doesn't want someone with beliefs, or
I think I know where she's coming from, actually.
Okay.
I can understand, but so I think she is being a little bit. I think her words can come off a little judgmental. But I don't think she just dislikes all men who are religious in general. I don't think she only wants to date atheist men. What I think she's saying is that maybe in her experience, a lot of the men who she has dated who are religious, I'm going to use the air quotes because I think air quotes are very important, because there is a certain breed of people who attend church and they think they're on some moral high ground because they identify as certain religious. That's not to say that everybody who's religious is like someone to avoid. I don't think she's even saying that. I think she has had experience with men who make it their entire persona and have some moral high ground about it, and they feel, and there are people, I'm not going to say men, people in general, who they will do not the best things. They might be a little manipulative, might not be the best people, who often talk the loudest about their religion publicly and at the table, to cover up their bad doings, and they're often the first people to point out other people's sins and flaws because they don't want to look at their own. So that, I think that's what she's trying to say. I don't think she's trying to say all religious men, all religious people, even people in general. But sometimes when people often say that's the first thing about themselves, it feels like they're trying to cut. Because honestly, I am very wary about religious and moral high ground influencers.
Okay, but would you say it's a red flag for a guy to?
I wouldn't say it's a red flag. I would say it's. She could be saying it's a red flag because of her personal experience.
Sure.
That's exactly what she's saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not a general consensus amongst women.
I don't think it's a general consensus among women. I think that if you are religious, if you are a person of faith, and that's important to you, you're going to be looking for someone with who, at the very least accepts that you are a person of faith, and won't hold that against you. If you're not looking for a man of faith, or someone who takes that seriously, then you're at least looking for somebody who respects your beliefs, even if they don't hold the same thing. It sounds like she doesn't, like, she says, I'm a woman of faith, almost like it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter either way, right? It sounds like she said that she grew up in a very religious family, right. Baptist church, uber religious is what she said. And usually in those experiences, if you don't take, faith to heart, if you don't hold those values, if you've lost those values along the way, or you don't stay true to those values, then you don't care about them anymore. They don't mean anything to you. And someone who does hold those values can seem like a red flag. 100% they can be seen as a red flag because you don't hold those values yourself. So you can look at someone else and think that they're really weird, because
well, I know.
they're going to put their faith over you, and she doesn't want that, right? Like, if they're going to,
which by the way, though, the Bible calls you to do
that, could get in the way of something that she wants to do or something like that,
right? And I was going to say that's what, but that okay. Look, there's a lot of different religions, right? A lot of people believe different things, but with the Christian Bible, it does call you to love God more than your spouse, to love God more than your. And I'm not making this look. I'm not judging anybody on anything because God. I mean, shit, I'm a heathen. I mean, but I'm just saying. I did when I was younger, I do have a kind of a religious background. I was practically in seminary. Like I was pretty deep into it back in the day. And I do understand where she's coming from, because I know there are a lot of hypocrites, and she's probably talking about the hypocrites most likely, right? Problem is, though, I mean, I guess it's the way she came off, and because of her past with the rumors of her sleeping her way to the top of her field, for her to say that, I mean, believe me, she is getting dragged all over social media right now. Like, people are dragging this woman. And I'm not saying that they're right for dragging her. But I think she probably didn't phrase that the way she wanted it to, or the way that she probably should have. Because it sounds like basically, basically what they're saying is, it sounds like she just wants to sleep around, right? Like that's like the consensus of the.
I don't think that's true. Like,
it sounds like she phrased it exactly how she wanted to. She sees religion as a red flag, and that's because she doesn't hold it to the same values as other people. So to her, it's weird. To her, that's a red flag. She grew up in a religious family, and I grew up religious. I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic schools, Catholic high schools, all girl high school, and then Catholic college, and then a Catholic college. So like, extremely religious background. So like, at one point in my life, I was like, I don't want to care. I don't want to care about it anymore. But I ended up like going back to it. You pick it back up because it is something that you grow with. It is something that is meaningful in your life. Whereas it sounds like she didn't do that. She just
it
left.
Sounds like she did have some bad experiences with guys in the past who have used that as, a way to control her, maybe, a way to like.
I don't think it's a control thing. I feel like there are times where people will put themselves on a moral high ground as a way, again, like I said, to sort of cover up their own, like, and this isn't all religious people. It's kind of the reason I don't publicly talk about my beliefs, just because I feel like that is between me and my and God, my higher power. And I just something about a lot of influencers who make that their main focus, it does scare me a little bit, because people who tend to put themselves on a moral high ground, they tend to like to point the finger at everyone else, but they don't like to look at themselves in the mirror. And I think that's where she's coming from. Back to like the Bach energy type thing, where it's like the guy who like feels like he needs to convince you he's such a nice, good guy, like why do you need to convince me? It's like morally woke people. Like, I need to prove, it's the white lady who needs to prove how woke she is by doing all these ridiculous stunts. Why do you need to prove so badly that you're so woke? Do you feel guilty about something?
I do get where she's coming from to some degree, because I know, like, especially in the Black community, when it comes to like church, there's a lot of guys who, for them it's like a status thing. You know what I mean? Like, they'll a lot of times they'll go to show off. They'll go to they dress like really nice, and not nice like for church, but just like flashy. You know what I mean? They do these things, but at the same time they're sitting on Saturday and then in church on Sundays, right? Like, and I do get that. It's something that, especially in the Black community, it's I don't want to say it's fake, but it's very loose Christianity is what I call it. Right? It's loose Christianity. It's I'm a Christian on Sunday, basically, and Sunday morning at that, because after Sunday morning, then it's back to sinning again. But
I mean, I would say that all people are flawed, but my biggest, because again, I'm religious, I would consider myself Christian, and I'm definitely a flawed person. I am definitely not a perfect Christian, but it's also why I don't go around pointing the finger.
Sure.
And I don't put myself on a moral high ground. So I try to avoid putting myself on a platform like that to talk about things like religion and whatnot. But it's also kind of like what scares me about people who do put themselves on moral high ground, whether it's left or right. It just feels like, why do you need to prove like this to people, kind of thing?
Well, because it's not about the Christianity. It's not about the religion. It's about the hypocrisy. Right? Like, look, if you could say
same with wokeness. I mean, it comes into, it's the same, it's this different sides of the same coin is what I'm saying. Like, they're just people trying to prove something.
What was the question that was posed to her? Why'd she bring it up?
Because they were talking about like red flags for her, right? And right before she talked about religious men, she talked about men with baby mamas or exes, like that kind of thing. She doesn't want to have to deal with another woman in your life.
That's understandable.
And that was totally fair.
There's men who won't date girls with kids. I mean,
that's fair. It was fair.
My red flag is men who don't like cats. People in general who don't like cats. I like all animals equally. If you have like a weird thing about one specific type of animal, it's not like a wasp or a cockroach. It's like, why? What's your beef?
Oh, I ended it with a girl who didn't like my dog. I was like, oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah, absolutely,
like, absolutely
not.
Like, are you kidding? And she was gorgeous, but I'm like, there's no way I'm choosing you over my dog. Like, are you kidding?
I wouldn't say religion's a red flag for me though, but I feel like she holds some sort of trauma with that in some capacity.
Yeah, she's probably been burnt.
It sounds like it would get in the way of the man putting her first, because if she's like, I won't date anybody with men, or date any man who has a child or a baby mama, because they will put that child before her. So things that would come before her are red flags to her. That's what it sounds like to me.
Speaking of red flags, which is kind of funny, because it's actually good that red flags is kind of like maybe the theme of the night, because there's another topic that that we're going to get into that kind of gets into that. But before I do that, I got to ask both of you guys, and you don't have to answer me, but I got to ask both of you. What was the biggest red flag situation that you ignored?
I have so many. My dating history is awful, Riot. When I tell you I had to kiss 1 million toads before my husband, okay.
But I mean, like, just the one where you knew going in this was bad, but
didn't have a real job.
I'm so frazzled. I literally tried to take a sip of my water with the cap on.
Oh wow! Love it.
I would say didn't have a job and was trying to become a famous streamer and had money coming in but wasn't there yet and was living off of their parents' money. And by the way, this isn't a one-time situation. This happened 3 times to me.
You fell for it 3 times?
3 times. I'm an idiot. I am, in fact, a natural blonde, as you can tell. And I was basically like the breadwinner. I was paying for everything, taking care of everything. And yeah, this happened 3 times. Yeah. It's why it's why I personally don't date men with podcasts or are on the internet. I'm also married now, like, so I don't have to but after the 3rd time I was like, I'm never dating a man on the internet again.
Wow.
For all I know, you could be in your parents' basement, Verbal. I don't know.
You know what? That could be very well true. I'm not, but it could be true. I mean, you never know these days. Don't get me wrong. My apartment isn't much bigger than a basement or
You're also in California, which I fled for a reason. I can't believe there's people still there.
We don't get a lot for our money here, so. Here's the thing, though. I'm paying like, you know, I'm paying the price of a house for like the size of a garage.
Oh my God.
The taxes you must pay. I can't.
California is insane. Like I don't even know how I'm still here.
Stephanie, are people aware of where you are based?
I'm in Texas. Yeah,
we're both in places where we don't pay state taxes. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
I love it.
Rub it in.
I love it. I can use all of the money I save on taxes to buy stupid horror stuff. It's great.
Okay, Steph, let's hear your red flag.
I was hoping you'd forget about me because I was like, we're gonna move on.
What kind of host would I be?
Damn it. Dang it. I'm just gonna keep it simple. Okay. And you know, lying is a huge red flag, but I am an eternal optimist and a hopeless romantic. And if they lie once, they're gonna lie multiple, or they're gonna lie again and again and again.
That is true.
I will ignore it. I will ignore, even though I've caught them in a lie multiple times. I will still ignore it because I believe that, you know, people are inherently good and that, you know, they don't really want to hurt you, but they do. So, you know, I just continue to ignore that red flag over and over and over. So let's just say lying.
You know what? That is fair. Now, the reason why I bring up red flags isn't just because of Joy Taylor. Like our next topic. So this came across my feed this week, and it's a weird one for me because I have been to this place. I've been to the Playboy Mansion.
What?
I bet you have. He's been serious? Look, Verbal's been to like a Diddy party. Like, I believe that he has been to the Playboy Mansion.
I can't look.
Oh, look at Holly Madison and Bridget Marquette. Fuck Kendra.
To the feds watching this right now. I have never been to a Diddy party ever.
That trial's gonna start. It's starting soon. You're gonna get called. All right, you're gonna get
obsessed. The girls next door is my favorite thing. I love Holly. I love Bridget. Fuck Kendra. Fuck her. Don't care about her. But I'm obsessed with like the Playboy Mansion, the conspiracy theories from the Playboy Mansion. What have you seen? Tell me your stories.
So here's the thing. I was lucky enough in my lifetime. I was lucky enough in my lifetime to go to 2 Playboy parties back when Hef was alive and at the mansion. And yeah, there's nothing like it. I mean, I can't even describe half the things I saw there. It was like literally, look, man, Playboy, for you youngins out there who don't really know what Playboy is like
my dream. I want to be in Playboy so bad.
It was more than just an adult magazine. It was like, it was a rite of passage for young men for generations, where fathers would pass down their magazines to their sons for decades. This happened, right? Hugh Hefner became more than just a publisher. He was a symbol. He was a status symbol.
He was like the first ever household name.
He was a household. Everyone knew who Hugh Hefner was. And so,
and by the way, like I've heard the rumors of like who Hef was and things he's done. I believe them. I think we're about to get into them.
I'm not saying that. I'm not
that
saying
man is troubled.
I'm not saying there weren't crazy things going on, but here's my thing though, right? The problem is with this article that came up, right? And let me just kind of get into what she was saying.
Is it Holly?
Holly Madison.
Yeah. I've read her books down the rabbit hole.
She kind of trashes Hef, and she reveals that she was like in fear for her life, because of these disgusting sex acts he wanted to do and how controlling he was. And I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, I met Holly twice. I met her 3 times, but I met her twice at the mansion. And
did she smell good? I'm sorry.
At no time.
That was a weird question.
At no time. Well, she wasn't wearing much.
Holly Madison so much. I'm sorry. I'm
fangirling. Did you go to the secret hot tub? Isn't there a secret hot tub?
Well, there's the grotto.
The grotto.
I know too much. And before you even ask, people do have sex in the grotto, or they did.
I believe that. Obviously.
Did you go to the grotto?
I
tell us first.
I spent some time near the grotto.
Yeah, I was somewhat near the grotto. I didn't actually go into the grotto.
I feel like this is a lie.
I did see Dave Navarro there many times though. Like that guy lived at the Playboy Mansion. But no, anyway, Holly Madison, like, each time I saw her there, she looked pretty happy to me. She didn't look, and not even fake happy. Like she was like enjoying herself, having a great time, right? And I'm not saying like things were all cake with her and her marriage. And it's weird because he was kind of married to all.
She was one of 8 and 9 at one.
Yeah,
point.
well, one of 3. Well, she was in his top 3.
Well, so she was one of 3 by the end of her relationship with him, but in the early 2000s, I think she was one of like 9.
Oh yeah, easily.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Here's the thing. It's what she signed up for, right? Like she wanted this. She wanted to be part of that trio right there, right? With Kendra and with what's name? Like
I don't know.
Bridget. So she's still friends with Bridget. She actually scouted out Bridget because Bridget was her friend. And then I think Kendra was there when she was 18 doing like body painting, and Hef basically like saw her, like a picture of her, was like, I need to find this girl, and then made her like she was freshly 18. So I believe that Hugh Hefner is a creep. I believe that he was verbally and emotionally abusive for sure. I've heard it wasn't just Holly. I've heard this from. I've heard it from other girls too.
No, I have too. But my problem is like you can't be like she. Look, I get it. She was young. Like when she was in her early 20s when she got involved with Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner was 70 when they got involved. Like 70, right? So
Holly
Holly
at one point wanted to marry him. So like she made that very clear publicly that at one point she wanted to marry him.
She was pissed that he didn't marry her. Right. And so for her to come out and say all these things, right? And for me, like, look, I'm sorry, 70 years old, it wasn't a lot of crazy sex happening. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there. At 70 for a man, and before Viagra?
I think it's more about the.
I'll be honest. I will be honest. Okay, so here's the thing. I get what you're saying.
What you get at the time of death.
No, I think she genuinely did love Hef because like she really like worked her way to like, but she chose to leave, by the way. It wasn't like he told her to leave. She chose to leave because she's like,
right.
If you're, I'm 31 at the end of the show when she left. She's like, if you're not going to marry me, I need to leave. And Hef was actually upset that she wanted to leave. Like he was really sad. And I don't think she was upset that he chose to marry Crystal. I think, with a lot of other things coming up from other playmates, there might not have been it might not have just been like the whole sex thing as a physical thing. I do feel like there might have been emotional and mental manipulation going on in that house from him, which is maybe what she's rethinking now that she's older. So I don't think it's just like her being like, coming out 20 years later, like making shit up. I think it's generally her like rethinking about her time in the Playboy Mansion, thinking, I was in love with this man and he kind of took advantage of me, which I think is a very normal thing to reflect on, given that there's a 50-year age difference.
Okay, but at what point does accountability come into play, right? Because look, you are in your 20s, right? You are sharing a 70-year-old man, right, with three other women or two other women. This is a choice, right? You are making a choice.
I don't think she's not taking accountability. I think she's just reflecting on, wow, I was 22 when I first started, or 21 when I first started dating this man, and like there was some mental manipulation, because I've read her book. Like it kind of gives a better because first of all, this an article is not going to tell the whole story. I read her book, and she basically says like how she was in love with him, but it felt like a lot of like her love for him came from a place of where he knew how to manipulate her based on his experience. And I don't think, and like she knew what she was getting herself into, but I think it's less about not taking accountability and more on her just reflecting on her time and like wishing, oh man, if I knew then what I know now kind of thing. Because it's been over 10 years and it's given her time to reflect on, what she actually feels about certain things. And I think that's where she's coming from. Because this article I feel like is quoting her. Might be because I've read her books. I listen to her podcast. I watch a lot of her stuff. And there's never been a point where she doesn't take accountability, because she has been like, I chose to be in that situation, but this is what I'm reflecting based on it. So I feel
my thing is just that, when someone's dead, it's kind of weird to talk ill of them. It's kind of like, look, especially if it's something that was resolved already, right? Like if she took accountability, that's great, right? And again, none of these girls, man. And the thing is, look, I'm not saying just because I went there twice, I understood the inner workings of their situation. That's not what I'm saying. But every woman that was at these parties were there because they wanted to be there, right? Like they really wanted to be there, right? All the models, whatever the guests wanted to be there and could leave at any time. So you can't say that.
Right. But when you're 18, 19, 20, your mind is thinking differently. Your view on the world's very different. Your brain's not even fully developed, because your brain doesn't develop until you're 26, 27. So that's another thing. You have to remember, this is a man who has been in the adult industry for 50 plus years or so. And so he knows how the women's mind works. He knows what they want. He knows how to, encourage them to do certain things they might not even be comfortable with. He knows how to basically use these things to his advantage. And these are 18, 19, 20-year-old women who aren't fully, in my opinion, you are not a full person until you're past 26, 27, because your brain's not fully developed yet. You don't have enough life experience or perception on the world to understand anything. And so I'm not saying that she shouldn't take accountability, because, she still was an adult. She was still making life decisions. I don't think that's not the case here. I think this is a case of her reflecting of, wow, like I really got myself in quite a whirlwind of things when I was so young. Like I wish I handled things maybe better, or was in a different situation, or understood what was going on. Again, yes, I understand they knew what they were doing. A lot
of grace with that 25, 26 age limit. I get your brain isn't fully developed until then, but at some point, if you're able to vote at 18, you understand the reality of the situation. And a lot of times
I don't think that's the case.
A lot of times you can blame it on an underdeveloped brain. But if you want something, then you want something, and you're going to do whatever you can do to get it. You're going to be put in these situations, and you might be uncomfortable, but you know what? It's the place that you want to be. This is the lifestyle that you're choosing to stay in. If you're extremely uncomfortable, you can leave. But
I agree
clearly that didn't bug her, right? She might have been uncomfortable at the time, but she didn't say anything. She didn't leave because this is what she wanted at the time. And her being a 45-year-old adult woman now, she is looking back on it. She could have made some different decisions, but she didn't. And if she is taking accountability now, then that's totally fine. But the whole thing of it's like the Scarlett Johansson thing, right? She played Black Widow and was fine being oogled by men, and now that she's older, she's just like, oh, I was taken advantage of. Same type.
That's crazy.
30, wasn't she like 30 something, or when she was in her peak, or anyway? But I'm not just saying based on brain development.
Same type of thing. You know, it's
no,
like once you reach a certain age, you start reflecting, and you know, oh, I could have done things differently. Totally fine. But at that time, when you were there, you were more than willing to welcome all of that stardom, all of the eyes on you, all of the people Googling you, being there at the Playboy Mansion, because that was
in
your
exchange for
at the time. Then you have to accept that. I think that, you know, her reflecting back and thinking like, oh, maybe I could have done things differently. Sure, you could have, but at the time you were more than willing to accept all of that admiration or adoration.
I can agree to that. I can definitely agree with what Stephanie's coming from. When I say like 25, 26, I don't just mean brain development. I also just mean like life experience and perception of the world. I definitely agree with the sense that like it's important to just be like kind of move on in the sense of like, okay, I made these decisions. It happened. But again, I don't think this is a case of Holly talking shit or even like kind of like playing with regret. I think it's just her kind of being like, this was my experience and this is how I'm reviewing it. I feel like this article is just like,
they have disgusting sex acts in quotes, meaning she said those words, right? So like, I mean, unless they're lying, but
I mean, hey, I mean, like, but here's the thing. It probably did happen. Like this disgusting sex acts more than likely happened.
Any sex act with a 70-year-old man is going to be a disgusting sex act, right?
Well, yeah, right. I mean, so is she wrong?
It's a 70-year-old man. You are, you know, playing with 70-year-old balls. Of course, it's going to be disgusting. Sorry, it's just what it is.
So is she? But the thing is, that means she's not wrong.
I think that she was putting up with it in the hopes that Hugh Hefner would marry her, and she would, at his time of death, inherit everything, and then she could run the Playboy Mansion as she saw fit, right? She would be the person in charge of the Playboy Mansion. She didn't get that, so I feel like now she's kind of like, all of that was a waste. It was such a waste of time.
Yeah, because if she had married Hef, I think her attitude would be very different. Like
100% would be different.
If he put a ring on her finger, you know.
It's funny you mention that because Crystal's not doing as well as Holly is actually now, like financially. So if you guys didn't know, the Playboy Mansion,
get any of Hef's money?
So the Playboy Mansion was actually sold to somebody before Hef died, and Hef was allowed to live in it up until his death.
Yeah, I knew that part. Yeah.
When he died, the mansion got completely destroyed because it was just left there for years to rot. It's terrible. It breaks my heart, honestly. And I think all of the money actually went to Hef's daughter, his ex Crystal. Right. Crystal didn't get anything, and Holly has a whole thriving business. She has a great podcast that's doing well. She's living her life up in Vegas with a beautiful family. I don't think she's bitter about Crystal or in that any sense, because she's got this beautiful life now and very successful. And honestly, she's financially doing great. I think it's again, like as somebody who like really like listens to these girls like podcasts and like reads these books, I think it's just her reflecting. I think the article is misleading like what Holly's trying to say.
Okay, so they're
you can also look back at those times and think like that was
time. You know, you can still look back and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was in love with a 7-year-old man. What was I thinking? Kind of thing. Like,
yeah, and look, and there's nothing wrong with like reflecting on like you know, dumb shit you did when you were young, right? I mean, we all do it, and I'm not saying, but my thing is like, okay, just make sure you're not necessarily like blasting a deceased man. And like muddying his name any more than it already has been, right? And
I mean, I'll muddy Epstein's name any day, so I don't care.
And look,
it depends who's dead.
I'm not saying Hef was a you know, he wasn't like, I'm sure he wasn't like a teddy bear. I mean, I'm sure the guy, you know, has some weird quirks. Look, you don't have a business like Playboy and not be a little weird, right? I mean,
I know that red lipstick was banned from the Playboy Mansion.
Oh, they had some very weird rules. Like the girls were not allowed to have jobs outside of, you know, Playboy, outside of the mansion.
He did not like that Bridget was going to get her PhD while being one of his girlfriends. He also did not like that Kendra wanted to go to massage school while being one of his girlfriends. There was a lot of
they had curfews.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it wasn't like
that sounds like control. You know.
That's what I'm saying. Is like maybe.
Well, 100%, but you are also offering these women this lifestyle, you know, They don't have to worry about anything. They don't have to pay for anything. They have everything taken care of for them. In return, this is your job. So you're not looking for something outside of this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And they,
that to me, that's not controlling. To me, that is reasonable. This is your job. So as long as you're here, if you want to go and, pursue other things, then don't do that while you are here. When you're here, this is your job. You would have to quit you can quit at any time and go do that stuff. But
the problem with the job of being Hugh Hefner's girlfriend is that when it does end, you don't have a degree, you don't have something to.
Then that's really something that they can choose. That is what they're choosing. That is what they're choosing. Then they can stop and start all over again. It's hard to do that, but they know that if they stay here, they have no other prospects. They have no other ambitions outside of Hugh Hefner's girlfriend. So that's the choice that they made. That is the lifestyle that they chose. If they wanted to do other things or pursue something else, then they would need to quit what they have.
And here's the thing:
go do that on their own.
Those girls, I'm not talking about the three. I'm talking about just the girls who were part of the campus, right? The campus girls who lived there. Because there were
so the three: Kendra, Bridget, and then Holly.
Well, no, there were other girls besides those three that lived in the mansion.
They didn't live there. I think they were just models who were visiting and stayed in the guest house whenever they were doing print stuff.
Things like that. But what my point was that what happens at these parties, they're big parties. They're a lot of famous people come. Is a lot of times it's a chance for those girls to network with other people, right? To find gigs outside of Playboy. True. Everyone who went to those Playboy mansions were like.
But that's for the models, not Hugh Hefner's three girlfriends.
They were high-end Hollywood people, and it gave them opportunity to meet people they would normally never meet, right?
But the thing is, the three girlfriends weren't allowed to do that. Only the models. So the three girlfriends didn't even get to model until the show took off. And then the show was like, hey, you should really consider putting these three girls in your book and calendars because it'll make you more money. And I think actually what happened was there's a huge dispute because when the three girls started getting more attention and there was actually royalties coming in for their image and stuff from the show, Hugh didn't like that. And he actually wanted to cancel the show because he didn't like that they were making their own money now just from basically existing. And yeah, I
but he approved the show. The show was kind of almost his idea, so
I thought it'd be more. I think honestly, this is a little theory of mine. I think he thought it'd be more about him than his girlfriends, because I don't know. The man really liked being in movies and stuff. There's so many Hugh Hefner cameos in movies. Oh my gosh, what's that one?
He started out doing animation. He wanted to be an animator, and
I didn't know that.
He went from that to Playboy. I don't know how that happens, but he started out doing drawings, and then he moved to photography and said, you know what, I'm just going to do this for the rest of my life, and so be it. Yeah, Hef is an interesting guy. He I've always kind of respected him as a businessman. I mean, I don't know the man personally. I mean,
as a businessman, the man's a genius. I'm not going to sit here and just trash on him. The man actually is a business genius. He's also a genius in aesthetics. Gosh, this is really embarrassing for me to talk about, but I always admired the Playboy bunnies and the models because I was really nerdy and I wasn't cute younger. So I'd see these pictures of these beautiful women. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I would love to be like that one day. And Playboy has just this reputation for such amazing aesthetics and beautifully shot pictures with the most beautiful theming, everything's thought out. And Hugh, if you read anything about him, he's a huge film freak. He loves old films. And so that man understands aesthetics to a T. And I'm not going to sit here and bash the man. I don't deny there was weird sex stuff going on. I mean, it's Hugh Hefner. He had 10 women at one time, but I'm also not going to sit here and pretend he wasn't a brilliant businessman and just a master of aesthetics.
Yeah. And look, I mean, we got to remember the guy's whole business was about beautiful women. Right. And yeah, I agree. He loved film. Some of the best interviews I ever read were in his magazine because some of the best film interviews of all time have come from Playboy. In fact, there's a book that has all the collected interviews from the 60s till early 2000s of some the celebrity interviews, and they were probably the best things I've ever read. I've ever read. So there was more to Playboy than just the naked girls. I mean, there was a lot that went into it, but
there was so much. I mean, you really could see there was.
Did you read it for the articles, Verbal?
I did read Playboy for the articles. Like, I mean, there were some good articles, man.
And you know what is that Playboy nudes? I will say, Playboy nudes are done very tastefully. So like they're not just like, you know, butthole pictures, like, you know.
Yeah, they weren't Larry Flint, is what you're saying.
They weren't was a little straight up porn. Like it was like there was Penthouse that was here, and then Playboy was up here.
No, Larry Flint was Hustler, I think.
Yeah, he was Hustler.
He was Hustler, yeah.
He was the guy when everyone ran around saying Larry Flint for president, I think, at one point.
Yeah, he was the guy who was in a wheelchair who got, you know, I think he got shot by somebody. And no, Larry Flint was dirty, man. Like his magazine was filthy. You didn't read, there were no articles in Hustler, right?
No. But Hugh, like, so a lot of like, I'm gonna reveal something about myself after talk about being such a Christian and loving Jesus. I do spicy stuff, but I don't do full out hello. I actually do a lot of my pinup shoots based on how a lot of Playboy models pose, and that's just because Playboy is so beautifully done. And it's not
with artsy pictures, man. Like, I'm sorry, every now and then, you know,
nipples. If they could have nipples in a Renaissance painting, I think it's fine. That's the furthest I'll go.
I'm all about tastefully done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm not saying like I'm not trying to put myself above like other guys, right? I'm not saying like I need production value and all this other stuff. I'm just saying, just, you know, give me something different.
But there's something well thought about a Playboy centerfold compared to like straight pornography.
Yeah, because it felt more like art. All right, it felt more like a piece of art. No, I totally agree with that.
And like I would watch videos of the behind the scenes, them putting the sets together, and it'd always be like there had to be something in the scene that hinted that the model was looking at a man. So behind her, you might see like a football, or you might see something that a man would traditionally own. So it was like you were the person, the model was looking straight at you, and that was something I thought was very clever.
Although Playboy did airbrush a lot, like sometimes too much. I'm like, guys, like, you know, this doesn't even look like the same woman, right? Like, you know, chill on the airbrush a little bit. But you know what's funny? You know, since we're talking about choices that we've made, I have another topic that and here's the thing: I've heard women say this before, and I don't know how often it happens, but since you two are here, maybe you guys can like clear the air as far as like whether this is true or not. So, you know the actress Tiffany Haddish? She's a black comedian.
Oh yeah.
She's in.
I don't know who these people are.
Didn't she have like some scandal with underage kids or something?
No.
What?
No. She got in trouble because there was a joke made by this comedian, I think by Aries Spears, and I think she kind of doubled down on like him being able to tell the joke, even though a lot of people were kind of, you know, disgusted by what he said. I don't think there's anything with her directly, like physically doing anything, but I know a lot of it had to do with that joke that he told and got in trouble for. But she has been kind of controversial in a lot of different ways. But no, she's an actress, and she did this. I guess this IG, and I'm gonna bring it up. Oops. Yeah, she did this IG. Basically, she said that she would go out with guys, you know, for dinner. Like she would go out with guys purely just to eat.
I've heard of this.
Yeah,
I've heard of this. I remember I went on when I was like dating in my early 20s. I would use the dating apps, which by the way, I do not recommend dating apps to anybody. They're terrible. Your dream person is probably like at the zoo or church or Ren Fair.
I met my girlfriend on a dating app, so I mean, like they work. Look. Okay, look. Let's be real here for a minute before we get into this topic. Here's how it works with dating apps. Tinder is trash.
Everybody just wants to get snooch on there. They don't want a real connection.
I'm scared of dating apps.
Tinder is trash. OkCupid has been overran by trannies. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just what it is.
What?
I mean, there's a lot of trans people on OkCupid that are impersonating like women and shit. And
What?
This is happening. Bumble is okay. Most guys hate Bumble because, you know, it's not in their favor. Because the women have to choose in Bumble. Like the guys can't just swipe. Like you have to pick the guy. So most guys hate Bumble. Hinge is a pretty solid dating app. That's the app where I met my girlfriend. And you know, it's a good app. It's a good app. It's a solid app. There are not many of them though. That's the thing. There's not a lot of good dating apps. But there
all
are
of
like
the gross men.
FarmersOnly.com.
Farmers Only. I mean, you might. I mean, you know,
Christian Mingle.
And I think Jew date is still a thing. You know, so.
All I'm saying is, I have a weird
good
feeling.
Dating apps still out there. I'm just going to put that out.
I do fear now that like
the
men know that like all the good girls are on Hinge. They're gonna be taking because there's this weird breed of men. I don't have to deal with this anymore. Thank God. There's this weird breed of men that will tell women that they want something serious or they're looking for something. They're considering long term, but they really just want hookups. And then they get mad when the girl won't sleep with them. It's something I had to deal with all the time when dating, where I would go on a few dates and the guy would be like, well, we're going to take this back to my place. And I'm like, well, you're not my boyfriend. Like, are we going to make it official now that we've been like going on a couple dates like for 3 months? He's like, well, I have to sleep with you before I date you. And I'm like, that's not how it works, sir. Good day to you. And it would happen all the time.
For most guys, that is kind of a thing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, you know, look, there's this weird thing that guys don't want relationships. We do. But things have to line up for us, right? Like we kind of have to like see where things are. And unfortunately,
you gotta date before you sleep together.
That's a big deal. Like we can't say a girl is our girlfriend if we've never had sex with her. Like there's no way we can like take a woman as our significant other without sleeping with them first. Like it's just no way.
I believe in bringing back going steady. I listen, I don't have to deal with this anymore because I am taken for life, but I just feel like I'm not saying everybody has to be a prude and wait till marriage, but listen, I pose naked for a living, so I'm not like a prude, but I do believe in like building a strong connection and like really like.
Oh, no, I do too. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, you know? But I'm just saying, but you gotta like.
I wait a few months before I let a man even touch me or see my boobies.
Wait, a few months?
Yeah. We have to be going steady. We have to be like boyfriend, girlfriend.
Okay, wait. Like how many months?
Like 3. I think it's a short amount of time.
3 months.
And we have to be official. So I usually
Sure.
we'll be dating for a month or 2. And I'm like, okay, where is this going? Because, you know, and then like if we become official, I give it a couple more months and then they can see my boobies.
You know,
all the men in the chat would be so mad at me. Oh gosh.
All the men in the chat just went soft.
Listen,
No, you know what though? It's good to have.
I'm not a prude. I feel like I used to have experience where like like going back to like men kind of taking advantage and like having the situations where I would date men who like didn't have jobs. It was just sort of like I was played so much and burned so much where I was like, I'm gonna like hold off on like men touching me from now on.
And I get that, and that is fair. But here's the thing, like, so with Tiffany Haddish, she was saying like she would go on dates with guys just to get free food out of it, right? Like she didn't even like some of those guys, but she needed dinner.
I've heard of people doing this, and I remember hearing it from I think my college friend. She was like, "Oh, you're gonna go get dinner," and I'm like, "Yeah, the guy seems really interesting." Like, I would kind of talk about the things we talked about, like on the apps, and this is before I was like, I will never touch them again, kind of thing. And I was kind of talking about the guy. She goes, "Oh, where is he taking you?" And I would tell her like, "Oh, he wants to take me to this," and she'd be like, "Oh, I've been there. I've convinced a few guys to get me dinner there." And I'd be like, "Oh, well, what did you see them afterwards?" She goes, "No, I kind of just wanted a meal."
Okay, let's hear what she has to say, because I do want to get back into this really quickly.
I'm just like, what?
A lot more thinner people. I was just trying to figure it out. Do you know how horrible it is to have to go on a date with a guy because you need a meal? And it's like, I don't even want to be nice to this person or even get to know him.
That's mean.
I'm hungry.
You're wasting a poor person's time and emotions.
I don't know.
That is the equivalent of a man trying to sleep with you and then not taking the relationship anywhere.
A lot more thinner people out here with the price of everything, and like, you know, in this past election, we were told that the price of food would come down, but it's.
So yeah. Anyway, she goes into she's trying to justify it, but the thing is, it's like, okay,
that is the equivalent of a man sleeping with a woman saying he wants to take the relationship seriously and never talking to her again after getting a one-night stand out of her.
And you know what? And I agree and that is fair.
That is the equivalent of a man wasting a girl's time chatting, then sleeping with her, and then the relationship goes nowhere.
I've seen so many like women and young girls on TikTok and Instagram say the exact same thing.
That's
I'm disgusted by that type of behavior. They kind of say it as a flex, and it's ridiculous. But that is that's modern feminism, honestly. You know, it's taught to
that's not even feminism. That's just disgusting.
No, it's modern. There's a difference between feminism and modern feminism. You don't care about these men with modern feminism. Men are just there to be used. And it's disgusting. That's why I fucking hate modern feminism. It's ridiculous. Bring back, old values. But that's what these girls think. Right? Oh, I can just use my body to get a free meal. If they think that they're going to get sex, then they'll feed me. Or they'll take these guys for a ride, right? They'll tease them with something in order to get a free meal out of them. And they look at it as it's a flex. It's a flex. I can use these men. I can take advantage of these men. And it's disgusting. Personally, I think it's disgusting. And it's disgusting for them to go on, TikTok and Instagram and talk about it as if they did something amazing, right? I didn't really want to date this guy. He was just there, and I was bored, or I was hungry, so I just went out with him. It's truly disgusting behavior, and for this grown-ass woman to be doing it as well, like that's just crazy. That's wild to me.
But
that's
you know what though?
Wild to me.
It's the same flex that women have when they get guys to buy them drinks at a bar, right? It's like. And I'm not saying, look, here's the thing. Let me put this out there, because as a guy, this might be weird for me to say this. So I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. I tell men all the time, right? I tell men all the time, guys, on the first date, you only ever do coffee or drinks, right? That's it for the first date, because the first date is literally just an interview. You're getting to know this person. That's all. Don't invest in dinner. Don't invest in anything crazy expensive. Just do drinks or coffee, because you are literally just there to talk and get to know them. Now, if things progress during the date and things are obviously hot and the vibes are all there, then sure, whatever. But like, don't go into a date. Number one, never go into a date with expectations ever, guys. Just don't have expectations. Go in literally blank, right? Like, this girl's attractive. Yes, I'm attracted to her. I'm just there to get to know her. That's it, right? If there's a vibe there, great. But if not, don't put anything on it, because that expectation is where everybody screws up. Right. So just don't do that. But my thing is,
every first date idea is like to go somewhere you kind of like, where it's like something that's free, in my opinion. Like you walk around the park or something. So like my husband and I's first date was actually walking around Disney. We happened to both have annual passes, and we got to go on theme park rides together. And like that was a good way to like, if you're spending the whole day at a park, you want to make sure like you have like the same, you're able to like chat, but also have a fun time.
For a first date, to spend that much time with somebody on a first date, not knowing how it was
going
to go.
we could have left anytime we want, because we're locals, but we just enjoyed each other's time so much. We're like, oh yeah, we'll go on another ride. And like when you're stuck in line for an hour, that's like basically the first, okay, this first like ride, you're in line, you're like chit chatting, and you'll see where it goes after that first like ride.
And this was your first date?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's too long to be with somebody on a first date.
Well, you don't have to be there all day. You go on.
Like they liked theme parks.
It helps that they did, but like,
okay.
We also happen to have we're Florida natives. We both have not native. I'm I guess I live here, so I am native now. But like, we both have annual passes, so it's just easy. Like, oh, just show up, and then what you do is, so if anyone here is in like a theme park area, this is an idea. You go on one ride. You get to know each other in line because it forces you to talk. I hate movies on a first date because you can't get to know each other because you're watching a movie. You get to know each other before the ride, and if it sucks, at least you get to go on a ride and be like, oh, you know, my dog is sick at home. It was so nice to meet you. It was so nice to get to know you.
You know, I don't know.
And I liked him so much. We hung out till midnight. And now we're married.
Again, that's because the vibe was there, right? But my thing is, I don't know, and maybe LA is different. LA, you got to be like ready to move at any time, right? So you got this short amount of time to get to know this person, and then you can decide from there where it goes. When I met my girlfriend, our first date was at the Yard House, right? We met for drinks. It was about an hour of just us talking, getting to know each other, and then the second date, it was on and popping because the chemistry was all there. Right, everything was popping because everything was like green lights, green flags, right? So, but I just tell guys, you know, and look, yes, there is a book I'm working on right now. I haven't told many people about it yet, but I am working on the book for men. It's called Advice from a Bartender, because I used to be a bartender, and I've seen
bartenders are the best for talking, getting advice for dating.
Yes, I've seen much, I've done much, and bartenders, man, we are the unsung heroes with some of these guys. Like some of these guys would never like talk to women if it wasn't for the bartender. So, but
go to Verbal Riot.
Look, I'm not saying look, I'm a divorced man of 50 years old. You know, I'm not the wizard here when it comes to dating. I've seen a lot, I know a lot, and that's about it.
Impart that wisdom onto the next.
Yeah, onto the youth. I want the youth to, and you know what's weird for me though? It's like these young guys, they're not dating, man. Like they're not going, like, I don't know. When I was in my 20s, like when I was a young man, like for me, it was all about going out, meeting women. Like, you know, all you had was your little black book and your pen. Right? We didn't have phones. We didn't have all this other shit. We just had the black book, our pen, and our balls. And we had to step to those women knowing we could be rejected at any point, right? And you dust the dust off and you go to the next woman. If she doesn't like you, dust the dust off, go to the next. But it's like, but you had to work for it, man. Like now we have these apps where you can just swipe left and right. And, you know, it's a coward's way out, right? Even though I've met my girlfriend on the dating app. I'm just saying, but it is a coward's way out. No,
I think where girls are taking, you know, the modern feminist point of view, and sort of treating their bodies like a revolving door. I think that young guys have sort of like taken the opposite approach. You see all of these articles talking about how guys are having less and less sex nowadays.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And and they're actually like they're not even dating because they don't like their generation's crop of women. So they're not dating, or they're trying to date like older women, which is pretty wild. But also I think that like younger people, their social skills are stunted because of social media, and because of dating apps. They don't really know how to work for it. They don't know how to walk up to someone like that with that type of confidence. You know, and there's also like a fear of rejection as well. So I think that like they're kind of emotionally stunted in a way.
So no, you're right.
They don't know how to do any of that.
They don't, like, their communication is so bad. They don't know how to actually speak to a woman, right? Like a real life woman. Like they know how to text, they know how to do all that shit, but they don't know how to sit down next to a woman, strike up a conversation, keep it going. That is an art that is being like lost, unfortunately.
I also do fear that men or a lot of people in the dating world today will put all of their eggs into one basket when they haven't even really gone on a date with a person or got to know a person. I have a friend who is going to remain anonymous because he's not a public figure, but he's a very nice person. And my husband and I have been trying to find him a girlfriend. He's so sweet. But what happens is he'll go on these dating apps and you'll talk to a girl and be like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty and has like a few things in common with me. And so he'll put a lot of his efforts and his energy into this one person, hoping that like they'll be his girlfriend in a month or so. And he gets upset because they'll end up meeting someone else or talking to someone else because they had other options. And he goes, I don't understand. Like, I really liked them, but they were talking to other people. And I have to explain to him, you know, when you're dating, you have to have options. And what you do is you kind of narrow it down to the people who are still interested in you, and you get to know them better. Like, and he goes, well, that doesn't sound very nice because these are people. You have to treat them. I'm like, but that's dating. Dating is you have to narrow down your options. You have to keep your options open until you're officially, taken by someone.
Look, when you're young, you have a shit ton of options. I mean, you just do. And to some degree, even like when you get older, men still have that option. The weirdest thing for me, I got to be honest, the weirdest thing for me about being my age is I get hit on more by like younger women than I do women my age, right? Now, here's the thing. I'm a guy who I like the idea of dating a woman who is age appropriate, right? Like my girlfriend is 40, I'm 50. That is completely age appropriate to me. But there are guys who do like to date them a little younger, which for me is always a weird thing because I think these young girls are crazy out here, but whatever, it's a taste thing.
Why?
They want not developed.
They're going after the older men because they're the only ones that fit into their I think in their minds fit into their wildly unattainable prerequisites for being involved with a man. I mean, you've heard them.
They want security.
They want that security. You've heard them talk on street interviews like what's the minimum amount required to date you or something like that, right? You've heard them on street interviews. They have wildly
he wants to have 500
expectations, and the guys their age, they haven't reached that yet. But you know what? The daddies have. That's what they call you. That's what they.
Well, the zaddies, yes. I've been called a zaddy a few times. But no, here's the thing, and you're right about that.
Ew.
But the other part of that is gross. How dare you?
No, the word daddy. I think the word daddy for your boyfriend's gross.
It's
they call them daddy or father.
It is a little weird.
That. Yeah.
But no,
weird.
Look, Steph, I think you are right, but I think there's another part of it. I think the other reason why they do it, besides that part, is I think with younger guys, like I said, they don't really know how to talk. They don't know how to approach women. Like they don't like, and there's a lack of confidence, I think, with a lot of younger guys when it comes to that, right? And I get it. I was a younger guy, and I didn't know what I was doing half the time. But as you get older, and here's the thing. I will say this: most guys my age are not as thirsty, so we're not like we can go out with a woman, enjoy her company, go home, and be fine, right? Like we're not going to be hounding you for sex. We're not going to be like pawing at you. It's like, hey, we had a great time. If it goes further, great. If not, hey, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna drink some like wine and watch a movie and go to sleep. That's how most guys my age think. Like we're not about the hunt so much. You know what I mean? And a lot of these young guys are, but the problem is they don't even know how to go about the hunt. Right? Like they don't even know how to talk to women most of the time. So like that's the problem. Oh, and don't get me started on the red pill shit. Because now these young guys are listening to these morons, right? Like Fresh and Fit and these assholes. You know what I mean? Getting dating advice from them. And this is partly why I'm writing this book. I'm like,
I have a theory.
Please stop listening to these people.
Can I share my theory about what I think about these red pill people? I feel like they're purposely giving bad advice so that these young men can't get a girlfriend, so they're forced to watch them on stream and send them donations. Because think about it, if they're out there dating, they're not sitting around on their computer watching the streams on YouTube. They're out there actually living a real life, meeting somebody and talking and communicating and socializing. That's not good for all these red pill guys because then they can't take their money.
But the problem with the red pill guys though is that they're not much better. Like they're for lack of a better word, they're incels too, if you're going to use that word. They're not out there dating. They're not out there, banging a bunch of women. Like they're just as pathetic, right? Like that's the thing. I can see if the guys were grifting, and then
I'd say like the grift is real. Yes, 100%. You're right with that. They have to, I guess, like teach these men to hate women, so they don't even want to date them. But also like with young guys, I think another thing that's sort of causing them to lack confidence as well is fear of being put on social media, fear of being put on TikTok, for doing something, just anything, right? Because girls will film them and say, oh, this is giving me the ick. So they also have like that against them. Nobody wants to take that chance. They don't want to take the chance of them doing something stupid and being quietly filmed
Normal.
and then put on social media.
Right? No, that's a really good point.
For people to laugh at and ridicule, because these girls, they don't have any boundaries. They might set boundaries for themselves, but they don't have when it comes to the guys. That's why I say it's modern feminism. These men are just there. They don't really care about them. They don't really have any respect for them. So they'll put boundaries on themselves, but they have no boundaries when it comes to them. They will film them and put them on social media for people to mock and make fun of. So that is something else that like the younger guys have against them. They don't want to take that chance.
Have you guys seen the post from Liz Wheeler? I think she deleted it. It was like a year ago or something, but she said these are the top hobbies that women won't date men if they do. And like some of them were like really like gambling and things like that, which are obviously not good. But some of the hobbies were like playing video games and bird watching and magic and fishing and just the most basic.
I know what you're talking about. That was actually fake.
No, it was a tweet. It was a tweet that she put out, but it was a tweet from her, but she screenshotted something and posted it. I think maybe the graph was fake, but she did say something about it. And there was a lot of other videos that came out where women are like, "I'll never date a guy who likes Pokemon cards." And it's funny to me that like there's this weird attack on men enjoying things like. I'm sorry, but if a man comes home from a long day at work and wants to play an hour of video games because he had a long day of work and needs to decompress, I don't see what the problem is.
The problem is that we live in the most narcissistic generation in a long time, and it 100% has to do with social media and anybody can pretty much get any attention from any man at any time. So it's caused all of these young women to be incredibly narcissistic, and therefore, if they are involved with anybody, they will 100% want all of the attention on themselves, and they will bash a man's hobbies because what does that do? It takes the attention off of them and onto their hobbies. They want all of the attention on them. Because guess what? You're the guy that gets to be with me all of the time. You're not like one of these thirsty guys on the internet who get to see me and watch me and give me all the attention that I need. No, you get to be lucky enough to be in a room with me. So why aren't you showing me all of the attention that I want and require? That's their mindset. Like all of these women are incredibly narcissistic nowadays.
And let me tell you, ladies, there are 100 worse things your man could be doing. 100 worse things that your man could be doing than
cheating.
Playing, Marvel.
Let me tell you, if he's playing League of Legends, at least he ain't cheating. You know where he is.
There are
the room next to you.
Your man could be doing. Trust me. I mean, he could be blowing your rent money at the strip club. Okay, like if he just wants to sit down and play a game of Baldur's Gate, then fucking let him. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, it's wild. It's funny though, because like we had talked about the age thing, and a lot of younger guys are going for like kind of older women, and it's kind of dipping into what I want to talk about next. But before I bleed into that, because this is actually part of the story. You guys know what the Met Gala is. We talked about it a little bit before, and we're going to get a little bit deeper into it right now. Let's just talk about the Met Gala, because I think there were a lot of, and for a lot of you guys who have no idea what I'm talking about, because I'm sure my audience has no idea what the Met Gala is. It's basically it's a fashion show they do in New York once a year. It's kind of like it's supposed to embrace the outrageous of fashion, right? Like people dress up crazy for this. It's not even like suit and tie. They wear outlandish shit. and the more crazier, the better. The more crazier, the more the media is going to talk about you. So this is the thing once a year, and it's all celebrities. So these aren't like models. These are like celebrities who go every single year. And like I think at this point Zendaya has been like a regular there, and they get like it's mostly A-list people.
It's what it is. It's a fundraiser. It's it's hosted by, oh my god, what is her name? Jesus, it's what is her
something
name?
Winter.
Anna Winter.
Anna
Anna
Wintour.
Anna Wintour. It's hosted by Anna Wintour. All the donations go to the Metropolitan Museum of Arts, Costume Institute or something like that. It's extremely expensive to go. It's like $350,000 or something like that for a party of 4, and I think it's $75,000 for individual ticket or something like that. It's basically a place that you can go to and network. That's what it is, because like everything that we see as the public is like, we see the red carpet, and that's pretty much it. After the red carpet, they have like appetizers. They get to mingle, appetizers and drinks, and then they go and have dinner, and that is completely closed off. You're not allowed to have your phone in there. You're not allowed to post anything on social media from there. You're not allowed to do anything. It's incredibly secretive.
Well, all the action
nobody knows what happens at those dinners. And when the celebrities go in there, the seating chart, the dinner tables
eyes wide shut
are right. The dinner tables are arranged in a particular way. So that way, like a lot of business deals will happen at the Met Gala. That's why it's very important to kind of like keep your eye on who is at the Met Gala, because everybody is invited personally by Anna Wintour, and it's a mix of people who
I love her though.
It's a mix of like beautiful people, like models, and people who they want to push in the upcoming year. That's why it was wild to me that Rachel Zegler actually got an invitation to the Met Gala this year. She didn't go. I'm wondering if she was uninvited by Anna Wintour, considering like this horrible year and failure.
She is blacklisted by Disney now too.
I'm wondering if that's why she didn't go, but she was invited to the Met Gala. She just didn't go. But yeah, like you have to like kind of I like to keep an eye on the Met Gala, because it kind of shows me like, okay, who are they going to push? Who's going to have a huge career next year, like the following year? That's why I like to watch the Met Gala, in addition to all of these wild and crazy outfits that they wear at the Met Gala. Case in point, look at this guy.
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild. But the thing about
wearing a kilt over jeans.
But the thing about the Met Gala is that it's really kind of all about theme, right? Every year there's a theme to it, and this year's theme was
which they never follow, by the way, ever.
No, they never do. The theme was it was called Super Fine Tailoring Black Style. So I mean, and it was supposed to be kind of a tribute to that one Black designer, Andre. I can't remember his last name, but the Black designer that they're contributing to he was one of the first Black fashion designers in high end fashion. So he was like one of the first, and so they're kind of giving tribute to him. Huh?
No, I don't think so. Never mind.
No, it's Andre something. I wish I could remember his last name.
Was it Andre Leon Talley?
Yes.
I Googled it.
Yeah. So it was a tribute to him in a way. And so it was supposed to kind of be about tailoring Black, style to a more weirdly modern style or whatever. And my problem was, most of the Black men that were there, right, they weren't dressed in a very masculine way, right? And I get it. It's high-end fashion. High-end fashion it's gay by nature. It just is.
This man's fashion, I'm looking at Andre Leon Talley's. His fashion is actually not very masculine either.
No,
so
he's a gay guy. He's a gay man, very flamboyantly. So,
I did read somewhere. I was kind of mentioning this before we started the stream, that a lot of his fashion is based on the dandy era of fashion, which is a movement in the late 1800s done by Black men, because in the late 1800s, shortly after slavery was abolished in America, there was a sort of premise from European males that Black males shouldn't dress like them. They weren't allowed to, because they weren't a certain class or degree of person. So there ended up being this whole fashion trend, I guess fashion protest from Black men who referred to themselves as dandies. And it was very much like the fashion of that time, but done with a lot more color, a lot more African influence in a sense. You have to look up dandy fashion.
Well, and it's also a very Southern thing. It's a very Southern,
very Southern, yeah.
Yeah,
Here,
it's I want to say
picture.
like Louisiana kind of Southern.
Yes, here I found a perfect picture for this. If you want to,
oh yeah. Let's
Do
you put it in the chat?
I did put it in the stream chat.
Okay.
There's actually a man who goes by, he goes by Dandy Wellington on Instagram, and his whole thing is dandy fashion. And he actually does. I will say, he does a great job at doing it properly. The celebrities who went to the Met Gala all did this weird, like, modern flair to it that looked a little strange. A lot of them, again, most of the time, people at Met Galas don't even match the theme, which really irks me because I'm a girl who loves a themed event.
Yeah, because see, like this, I would wear this stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not what we saw at the Met Gala.
It was weird. It was strange. It didn't really. Again, most of the time they don't match the theme. Like I remember one year. This is the year that I started getting interested in. Was the year it was supposed to be based off the Gilded Age, and Kim Kardashian decided to wear Marilyn Monroe's dress and
I remember that.
I was so mad.
Mm-hmm. She ruined it.
She ruined it.
She ruined it.
Although I got to say, I don't have a picture of her right now. The what she wore this year, I liked it a lot.
She looked great this year.
She looked really good. I should have.
Did you see the clip? Did you see the clip of her nail falling off? Like,
no, which is
she
hilarious.
Lost the nail at the Met Gala.
No, and you know, it's kind of weird because, like, you know, like I said, I'm you know, just because of the industry I'm in, I have to know all this stuff. So for me, it's like, and to be honest with you, I do like the Met Gala. I like looking at the crazy costumes because it does spark, you know, some creativity and some ideas. And, you know, as you know, I used to be a screenwriter. So like, I like things that kind of inspire ideas. But is it something that's like a normal thing that my audience would, you know, watch? Probably not. But I do think that because look, high fashion is, if we're being honest, it is is dominated by women and gays, right?
Yeah.
And mostly gays. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that that's their industry. Some people just have a certain industry. That's their industry, right? Nothing wrong with it. That's what it is. And you look at some of like most of the people who've won, what's that designer show that
America's Next Top Model? No,
not Top Model. The one where they design clothes and
gosh, my friend loves this show.
Yeah, God, why is it blank in my mind right now?
It
was hosted by that one model. That is crazy that I can't remember the name. It's such a big show. It's a big, huge show.
Gosh, what is it?
What the
hell? Is that the one that has like that white guy? Make it work.
No.
Yes. It's that show. It's the #1 designer.
Project Runway. Project Runway.
Yes. I'm like, how did I forget? Yeah.
I had to Google it.
I was going to say, like, most of the men who have won that were all gay, you know, for the most part.
He's the guy who's in The Good Place. That's the only other place I know him from.
Yeah. but you know, so it's just what their industry is. And I understand that. My problem so much with this is like, there's always this weird emphasis on feminizing Black men, right? And I'm not saying you can't be securing your masculinity and go to one of these things and dress up crazy, but I just feel like, you know, what they're promoting, I guess it's because there's such a lack of masculinity these days that, you know, like, it's weird for me to see straight Black men, because a lot of these guys are straight. They're at this Met Gala, you know, dressing this way. It's a little weird to me, but I'm like, okay, you know, for the sake of art and whatever, it just puts a weird taste in my mouth, though. I don't know. Like, I get it. You want to be festive. You want to be part of this, and it is what it is. But
I don't think it's festive. I think it's the exact opposite. Like, listen, as somebody whose main thing is cosplaying and themed events, if people aren't going to show up in the themed outfit, like, it's not very festive. It kind of just seems like they're showing up for something else, if that makes sense.
No, I do get that. And let's be real here. The Met Gala is a status symbol. It is. Like if you are at the Met Gala, you are high end at whatever you do, for the most part, right? Like you're not just some chump on the street. You can't just go to this thing. So,
can I ask you something? As I think we're all over the millennial, or we're either millennial or older. I was talking to my nail lady about this actually today, and I asked her, is it just me or celebrities not as fun anymore? Like back in the day, like celebrities were like rich and famous, but they still felt like real people who were relatable, and like there was something about them that still like felt real. Whereas now it feels like I'm watching the Capitol in Hunger Games or something. Like there's this strange, like it feels like it's a bigger gap between, like there's nothing human about them anymore.
100%.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all.
The Capitol.
Yeah, the Met Gala is like pretty much the epitome of the Hunger Games. What is it? Section 1 or
yeah,
right? Is that what it is?
I feel like, do you guys remember the old red carpets from the early 2000s? And it was kind of like the Wild West for fashion. Like nobody had a fashion person designate what they wore. Like they all kind of just wore what was in their closet and hoped it worked. Like there was something so wonderful about that. And now it feels like, I don't know, celebrities just don't feel real people anymore.
I'll tell you what changed. Social media.
That's what I was just about to say. That's what I was just about to say. Yeah. We weren't really invited into celebrities' lives as much as we are now. You know, celebrities live this high fashion life, and we understood that. And it was kind of like we were happy to take like the little bits of breadcrumbs that we would get in behind the scenes, like special features of a making of a movie or interviews, you know, TV interviews or like magazine interviews. There's like little breadcrumbs behind the celebrity curtain. Who's the celebrity? Oh, he's just a regular person, just like us. They go and get groceries just like us.
We know nothing about them.
More relatable because it was just little bits, tiny like breadcrumbs, little bits and pieces of celebrity. We understood that they were celebrities and that they had a lot of money, but it was just like, oh, cool, they're just like us. Whereas now with social media, they try and act relatable as opposed to just living their everyday lives and just sort of like being a celebrity. And, you know, every now and then you get like little shots of them. Now it's just kind of like, hey, I'm really trying to like be like your normal person. Look, when we know that they're in a special class of people. And, you know, they try to lecture the general public on a lot of issues that honestly, like they couldn't even relate to because they are in a whole different class of people. They are the elite of society. And I think that a lot of people are kind of like looking at that and finding that incredibly contradictory, you know, and hypocritical. Like I don't want to hear I don't want to be lectured to. Don't lecture to me. You're in a totally different class of people. Don't lecture me on climate change, and you're going to take like all of these private jets to all of your vacations. We're locked down during COVID, and the Kardashians are off, you know, on a private jet to a special vacation. Like they are in a totally separate.
Or they're singing to us from their mansion, right? Like
yeah. So like
that was so weird, man.
We're like almost too involved in their lives to the point where like we can see like every aspect of the way they live their lives and how they preach to people as incredibly hypocritical, you know. So when we see like the Met Gala, now it really truly does feel like the Hunger Games because
or Katy Perry in space.
Yeah, or Katy and Perry.
Did she actually go to space?
Right?
I don't know.
No, it truly feels like, oh yeah, these high elites we're basically watching from District 12. You know, we're in District 12. All of these celebrities are in District 1, but they want to, you know, preach to District 12 as if, oh, we're just like you. And it's like, nah.
And also back in the day, man, celebrities, you know, they kept a lot of shit to themselves, man. And when I mean themselves, I don't mean individually. Like you'll be at a party and you'll see something and you knew not to talk about it, right? Like you knew outside of that party, you don't go outside and talk to about. You never talk to the media about anything, right? And I remember like when TMZ first started getting like really like big, how everyone got paranoid about people who were, around them because they figured everybody was a paparazzo, right? And now that everybody has a phone, everyone kind of is anyway now. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I think celebrities back in the day knew how to have a good time, but they also kept it very quiet. And there was no virtual signaling, right? There was no virtue signaling because there was no social media. So like Rachel Zegler back in the day probably would have done very well because no one would have known much about her. Right?
Yeah.
She would have done her movies and you would have accepted her as the new Hollywood it girl because that's what you're supposed to do. But no, because of social media, we know she's a moron. And now, she hurts movies. But it's funny, speaking about this Met Gala thing, this topic, I was like, this is a crazy one for me because and it does involve the Met Gala, but it's also it says a lot about where people are right now, man. Pamela Anderson. So Pamela Anderson, if you guys don't remember her from like Baywatch and from like the 90s, this was how Pamela Anderson used to look. Pamela Anderson
23.
Every guy wanted her. Every guy wanted her. Every woman wanted to be her, and even a lot of women wanted her. So I mean, it's like everybody wanted Pam Anderson. She was it, right? For I mean, probably for all of like the 90s, probably until Britney Spears came around. Then everybody wanted her. But Pamela Anderson was like that chick, right? So she's not that age anymore. She's younger now. She's older
57.
Now.
She's almost 60. So
she's almost 60, but this is what she looks like now. And people are like dragging her for looking her age, right? For not wearing makeup. And again, that's a choice, whatever, but they're dragging her for looking like a almost 60-year-old woman.
She looks good for almost 62, which is the scary part. Like what drives me crazy is that this is what a woman look like. When men say, "Oh, I don't like a girl with plastic surgery. I like a natural girl." Well, this is what a 57-year-old woman with no plastic surgery in the face, who stopped the Botox, stopped the fillers, who doesn't want to wear a ton of makeup looks like. But we live in this era where so many people have turned their face into a quilt and have put a bunch of stuff in it that a lot of people don't know what a 57-year-old woman actually looks like. And now they're dragging this poor woman, who, by the way, is still beautiful, is still gorgeous. And my dad, who's around the same age, I'm pretty sure would still hit. So I don't see the issue here. She's a beautiful woman who looks naturally wonderful for her age. And a lot of the men who have something to say about it, chances are they're watching too much porn or seeing too many AI women or too much Photoshop involved, basically. Like, this is what a real person looks like.
Yeah, and this woman is like literally like a grandmother now, right? Like
she's a grandma.
She lives her life. Like at what point does a woman at what point does she not have to be hot anymore? Right? Like, I guess that's the question, because
not everybody is going to be Demi Moore. Okay, Demi Moore has had so much work done. Kim Kardashian, who's over 40, has had so much work done. Like, this is a woman who basically left the public eye when she had her second kid and was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go live on my farm and mind my own business. This is her first, she got back into the public eye after decades of a break away from it. And, I will say haircut doesn't suit her that well. The dress isn't the best, but to say that she hit a wall is absolutely insane. Go look at the average 57-year-old woman in America who, and compare it to Pamela Anderson. Just go do it, because they do not look this good for their age.
And trust me, we all hit that age. I mean, we all hit that wall, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Like, look, we're all going to hit it at some point. Like, I'm very close to it. I'm probably this close to the wall right now. So
we all get old. We all get wrinkly. And I've been talking to my husband's really body conscious. So he goes to the gym a lot. He's a gym rat. He's also in the military, so he's kind of required to, but he goes to the gym even more so when he's off of work. And I kind of told him, we're married. One day you're going to get fat and old and wrinkly, and all the gym and all this, all of the supplements and all the vitamins, they're not going to change that. And we're getting old and we're getting fat and we're getting wrinkly together. I'm still going to love you and still think you're the most handsome man alive. And that's what relationships are all about. And I do fear for a lot of these young men who have trouble talking to women, if they have this image in their idea of what a woman's supposed to be, they're setting this unrealistic standard for themselves and kind of forcing themselves into a corner because they haven't accepted what reality is of being simply a human being.
Well, because they don't live in reality. I mean, we live in a time of AI women, right? We live in a time of sex robots, right? Like men have this very weird idea of what like a natural woman is because they haven't seen a natural woman probably in a very long time, or if ever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I mean, look at the celebrities nowadays. I mean, Paris Hilton, you would never guess that she's over 40. She looks the same as she did when she was 21.
She looks freakishly good. Like
whoever did her work did a good job, but you see my point.
Yeah, I follow her on Instagram, and I'm like, yeah, Paris for some reason has aged very well, and I'm sure a lot of it had to do with surgery and everything. But
yes,
oh, 100%. Yeah, Paris looks the same. Like she hasn't. I feel like Paris Hilton hasn't aged at all. But like going for Pamela Anderson, I think that the dress is age appropriate. She looks fine. Someone in the chat says that like she looks older because of the plastic surgery that she's had. I'm not going to deny that Pamela Anderson has never
she's had a boob job. She's definitely had something done with her forehead and cheeks.
Has had plastic surgery. Unfortunately, if you start getting plastic surgery when you're young and you do not need it when you get older or you have anything dissolved in your face, it's going to make you appear older because plastic surgery is intended for women over like the age of 48 and up. That's why a lot of plastic surgeons really urge against this idea of girls in their 20s getting baby Botox. There's no such thing as baby Botox. It is Botox. It's going to age you. It is going to ruin your skin. You don't need it. And a lot of plastic surgeons are urging girls in their 20s to not get plastic surgery because it's going to age them. Especially like when they get older and they no longer need it and they want it dissolved, their skin is going to lose all of that elasticity that it had before. It's because all this plastic surgery does is just stretches your skin. And what happens when your skin is incredibly stretched and you get it dissolved, it's going to like sag. Your skin's going to sag.
Yeah.
So if she's had plastic surgery in the past, and especially like in her early career, unfortunately, it's going to age her a lot faster. And I think that
I will say she looks younger than 57 to me, though. Like again,
go because she's probably still getting work done. Her dress is age appropriate. She looks fine. I think that the haircut is really weird. What I will say is that if she had her, blonde bombshell hair and a super revealing gown, I think that a lot of people would have the exact would have the opinion that they do of like Madonna, right?
Right.
Like, oh
and you don't want to be Madonna.
It's completely inappropriate for a woman of her age. This is, she needs to, when is she going to stop trying to be this blonde bombshell? It's going to be a totally different conversation. So I think that like for people saying like, oh, she looks like she's hit a wall, it's going to happen to people eventually, and I think that that's not the worst thing that can be said about Pamela Anderson, especially when a lot of people say that she looks fine. She looks age appropriate. What she's wearing is age appropriate. I think that the haircut completely does her a disservice. I don't think that the haircut.
I think she should have kept her long hair.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Or at least she should have styled it a different way. I think this haircut does not do her any favors at all. But other than that, her being her age and wanting to be natural now, that's something that a woman that age should aspire to. That's what they should want.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't want to be 57 still getting surgeries done.
At the same time, I think that a lot of people have different standards for people in Hollywood as well.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. So, and I think people in Hollywood also have like different standards for themselves. And she's not, I think what people, possibly the conversation surrounding it is you're not living up to the Hollywood standard. And so it's causing a lot of backlash on her.
But to her,
I will say
but
she took a break for decades, though. She took a break for decades. Like, she did one movie because she was just like, "Oh wow, this is a really interesting role. I think I would like to do," and that was it. Like she's not really aspiring to be like famous anymore. She's kind of just living her life.
At
like,
the Met Gala. What are you talking about?
But she was sure. You have a point there. You stumped me there. But she was invited. But again, she was gone for 20 years essentially. Like, nobody heard from her for 20 years, and now she's back.
Yeah, and she's had a lot of things happen to her. You know, like she has some kind of illness. I forgot what it was, and there are a lot of things that, you know. Again, by 57, you go through some shit. You know what I mean? Like, so maybe like after, you know, health issues and all that, you know, the desire to still be hot just isn't there anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying like, you know, you shouldn't do your best to look your best, but at the same time, if she doesn't want to, like, you know, glam it up like she used to back in, you know, the day, then so be it. Again, she doesn't want to be Madonna, right? No woman should ever want to be Madonna where you're still fighting for relevancy at 70 years old, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if Madonna's 70, she looks 70, but you know,
Madonna looks like what is that called? What is that doll from the Saw movies? Is that a marionette doll?
That's Billy. Here, I'll get him for you.
Is it a marionette doll though?
Yeah.
No, here.
Well, it's a puppet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what Madonna looks like that now.
She does
She's had so much work done, so much filler in her face that she looks like one of those dolls.
Here's Madonna for you.
She looks like Billy.
This is Billy. It's not a marionette, but he's a little robot. Like, so he usually has a tape recorder there to say what they need to say, and then his mouth kind of moves like this. There's multiple Billies, but I don't think he's a marionette. But yeah, there's Madonna.
You know, and what was crazy about the, you know, the surgery at a young age thing, like, it's not even like a Western thing, man. Like, you know, my girlfriend's Korean, and she tells me like how, like, in Korea, like, you know, girls get plastic surgery like at 18, 16.
Yeah, it's huge over there.
A nose job is like a rite of passage over there. A jaw chiseling down is the rite of passage over there.
That's insane.
Eyelid surgery, all of that stuff. Yeah.
I have a friend who's a doctor, and he told me that and again, this all goes back to just not doing things while you're young. And he told me that basically, like, the guys who he sees, they're, you know, like, these are like 20-year-old guys asking for Viagra, right? And I'm like, and he tells me, like, you know, he doesn't want to give it to them, but he can't say no. Like, if it doesn't risk their health, he's obligated to prescribe Viagra to these young guys. But he was just telling me that, like, yeah, but, you know, they're taking it now, man. But by the time they're like 30 and 40, like late 30s and 40s, they're going to be really messed up, man, because they're not going to be able to do anything without them. You know what I mean? Like they shouldn't be taking these pills now, but young guys are just popping them like they're party drugs. And I'm like, why would you do that?
I think they are party drugs.
Yeah, but Viagra shouldn't be a party drug.
I'm pretty sure they are party drugs.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, you know, when you're young, you shouldn't do all this stuff to your body. You know, that includes plastic surgery, that includes taking weird drugs that are going to mess you up. Because trust me, age is going to fuck you up enough. You don't need to do anything to your body when it's young.
Yeah, I think like there's a whole conversation happening on Instagram and TikTok about how Gen Z looks older than millennials. And it's because Gen Z has completely embraced plastic surgery.
Wow.
And there's girls that just go get top-ups, like they get lip filler, cheek filler, all this stuff because they're promised by their injectors that they dissolve, and it's been discovered that they don't dissolve. They actually stay under your skin, or they gravitate to somewhere else on your face, which is what causes like your face to look really distorted. So they're basically like being sold a lie, and so they'll end up changing their face. And the reason, like, and they like embrace all of that stuff, and the reason they're embracing all of that plastic surgery and going into debt over it is because of social media. Social media has really fucked.
So I was just about to say something about that. So for me, like, I remember back when plastic surgery, like getting a boob job, like all of that was super expensive, right? Like has the prices gone down? Like, is it cheaper now to get?
So I've actually had lip filler one time. It hurt so bad, and there's nothing wrong with my lips. This is my natural lip shape actually, because I actually had it removed. And I just remember like kind of being pressured by social media, like what Stephanie was saying, to sort of get it. And I remember it hurt so bad, thinking, oh, it'll dissolve if I don't like it, and it wasn't dissolving. I had to go back in. They had to personally remove it. I had to get like a little bit of it taken away out of here. And yeah, and I was kind of talking to my friend's mom who works in these offices. And so breast implants are significantly cheaper than they used to be. It used to be like it used to be like really hard to get. So they've actually gone down in price the same way TVs have gone down in price. So to get a boob job, if I wanted to get a boob job, a quote for me would to be like $7,000 to $10,000, whereas back in the day it was like 20 to 30K, the cost of a car today. So for like a good one at least. So they've gone down in price, and so I assume all their things for plastic surgery have also gone down in price. And I think it's because there's just a lot more people on the market for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay. And again,
I'm
pretty ignorant on all this. So for me, like, is
I'll never ever touch filler again. I'll never.
Well, I was about to say, so like for Botox, right? Like, what's the average on that nowadays?
I only ever get Botox here, and that's mainly for TMJ, so nowhere else. But for per unit, it's about $7 to $8 per unit, and it takes about, I think, like 40 units in total here. But from the diagrams I've seen, if you like want to get your eyebrows done or anything like that, it's like maybe 10 across here. You know, so you can't do that anymore.
And this is all out of pocket, right? Like
yeah.
Insurance doesn't cover this.
All out of pocket.
No. Well, my insurance does cover the TMJ.
It has to be like medically necessary. Like, I think like you can get Botox if you have some sort of like sweating,
like migraines as well.
And for migraines, you can get Botox for migraines. It's like a shot in the back of your head. It's nothing aesthetic. It's nothing in like it's a shot in the back of your head. And I think
there's
like
a lip flip.
Yeah.
They'll get their lips pushed up, and then sometimes if girls don't want to get like their eyebrows threaded, which is insane because the thread actually stays in your eyebrows permanently. But let's say they don't want to get a thread for it. Yeah. Oh, girl, when I was going through a really bad body conscious phase, like where I was just like, before I met my husband, I was researching every plastic surgery you could think of. I researched it all. Like I really did not like the way I looked I just went through a bad era of my life.
That thread lift thing.
Yeah. And this thread stayed in your head.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize, but like you can Botox your eyebrows up like this if you want to, which is stupid because you can actually just get your eyebrows waxed to be whatever shape you want. So I don't know. You can Botox here to keep your double chin up. There's so many things you can do. I mean,
so these doctors are making hand over fist, is what you're saying.
They are 100%. They're making hand over fist because women,
it's cheaper now,
especially young women nowadays are being.
I'm in the wrong field. Why didn't I become a fucking plastic surgeon, man?
And some of these things, you don't have to be a plastic surgeon, just be a nurse with, I believe, a med spa certification, just like an injector certification.
Wait, is that what happened to Kanye West's mom, though? Like, didn't she get like a private?
She got liposuction.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, she had complications due to liposuction. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I'm telling you right now, like I don't have this issue anymore, but like when a girl is really feeling like she's not good enough and she's just scrolling and seeing nothing but Photoshop pictures and like celebrities with a ton of money to spend on plastic surgery after plastic surgery, she's going to start thinking, oh man, I don't look like this. There must be something wrong with me. She'll go to her nearest med spa and then fork out, oh, it's only $8 a unit. And next thing you know, she's going like every 3 months or so and spending a ton of money on Botox and fillers and it's just, and these doctors are actually making more money than they ever have because it's cheaper and more accessible to people.
Yep.
Wow.
That's why
I definitely got
the term IG baddie exists because there are all of these IG baddie girls on Instagram who all look the exact same.
You know what? And honestly, I am getting so fed up with IG, man. Like I'm just every time I hop on there's ass, and I'm like, look, I wouldn't mind it once in a while, but it just seems like I can't escape it, and it's not because I'm searching anything, because I'm not. For some reason, my feed just got infiltrated by ass, and so I don't know. There comes a point where you're numb to it, You know what I mean? And I think a lot of, and that's probably
That's
the problem.
bad. That's so bad. Where it's like, it's
a lot of guys are numb to it
you
now.
just become numb to it. That's crazy.
And you know what? And maybe that's why younger guys are getting Viagra, because they become so numb to just like regular stimulation.
That's why I think kink culture. So I'm very like, I would say sex positive. Like I don't shame, you know, as long as it's safe and whatnot. But I will say kink culture is a lot more prominent than it ever was. And it's not because people are more sex positive. I would say it's more because people are so desensitized to relationships and actual, you know, normal amounts of sex, because everything is porn now. Everything on Twitter, on Instagram, everything. My gosh, like I do nude photography and pinup and burlesque, and I've got men in my DMs saying, why won't you do full porn? Why won't you fuck your husband on camera? And I'm like, well, you know, in my bio it says no porn, tasteful nudes only, and they get very mad at me, and like they're like demanding porn from me. I'm like, sir, there's a full-on website for this. Like, you don't need to watch me do it. Like, I'm sorry, that ain't.
And that's the thing, it's everywhere. It's like, and you know what,
you need to fix your algorithm, Verbal, because whenever I get on Instagram, my algorithm is nothing but
no. Look,
but like making fun of all.
It's not just my algorithm. I'm saying
and like
everywhere,
memes. That's my IG algorithm right now.
Everywhere you look, there is just like stuff out there, man. And it didn't used to be like that, right? Like back in the day, you had to search it out. Like you had to look for porn. Right now, porn just finds you. It just finds you.
It just finds you.
Know what I mean?
I remember during the Tumblr era, you couldn't get away from it. Oh my god.
Tumblr was wild shit back in the day.
It's terrible.
Dude, Tumblr like was like the Wild Wild West of like porn back in the day, man. Like it was crazy. But it was like the weirdo porn though.
The questions I get from OnlyFans are, but a lot of men are obsessed with my husband. They have a lot of questions for him. And it's really interesting.
Whoa. What kind of question do you have for your husband?
Well, some people want to know like the basics, like what's his dick size, no gross things like that. But a lot of men actually like, hey, can I get dating advice from your husband? Like a lot of men who follow me, who I'm guessing don't date, they have actually asked my husband to come onto my live streams, not for anything sexual, but just to kind of talk about dating and stuff, like to have a dating show on my OnlyFans.
Wow, these guys are men.
Just to teach men how, which honestly, in my opinion, is very wholesome. It's very nice that like a lot of men are asking for this, and I have considered like maybe doing something.
You gotta realize what they're asking. They're asking him how do they bag a chick like you, right? like they're not asking simple dating advice here. You know, it's like, you know, let's not give them too much credit.
My worry is, it has popped on before, and I do sense that a lot of men were like, can I see his back? Like people want to see his backside. Like, and he got really uncomfortable really quick. He was like, no.
Hell?
His back, like his ass.
That's crazy.
Oh, she froze.
Oh, I'm like,
a part of me is wondering if they're including her husband in their own fantasies.
That's what I'm thinking. Like that's craziness. Like that is beyond simp behavior.
That's honestly that's the first thing that popped into my mind.
Like that's not even simp behavior. That's just weird behavior, man. Like that is crazy to me. You know, while she's frozen, I'm gonna read this really quick super chat. Hopefully she'll unfreeze by then. Joel Dalton, for $5, ladies, if you feel that your face is looking old and tired, visit a burn ward and get some perspective. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
You can always be worse.
It could always be worse. I like the idea of aging gracefully. I think my mom looks beautiful. My grandma looked incredibly beautiful before she passed away. I admire my aunts. They all honestly, like, they all look the same to me. And I can't remember where I heard this, if my grandma told me or if my mom told me, I don't remember. But they always told me, like, don't do anything to your face. Don't do anything to your face. Like, because people won't remember nothing matters. You know, when you're gone, people will remember your face. So don't do anything.
Make sure it's your face.
That is true.
You know, yeah. So
don't get me wrong, I'm not
same. Like, make sure it looks, because your face is always going to look the same to the people who truly love you. And it's 100% true. Like my mom, even though she was younger, she's always looked the same to me as I've gotten older. Even though she has gotten older and has aged, she looks the same as she did when I was 8 years old.
Right.
She looks the same. Same thing with like, my grandma, all of my aunts. I know that they're aging. I know that they're getting older,
But they
but
still look
from
like
my
they're
perspective, they look the same way as they did when I was like, 7 years old. So like it's 100% true. Like don't do anything in your face. Don't put any injections in your face because you only get one, and that's what people remember. So don't do anything to it.
I just don't understand the overdoing it, right? Like I know like women get like little like nip tucks here and there. I understand that. It's just, for me, especially for older women, man. Like when they go overboard with it, like when they have that look, I'm talking about that plastic surgery look,
the marionette doll look. Yes.
I don't understand why women think that's an attractive look.
I think that what was her name? Courtney Cox.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, Courtney Cox said that like when she started doing it, she thought that she looked fine. She didn't see any difference in her face when she started doing it. So, she just started getting more and more, and eventually, the face that she saw in the mirror like kind of warped her view, and like that's what she looked like. So she just continued to get it more and more and more.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it wasn't until like I think it was like maybe last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't remember. It was relatively recent, was when she got like all of her fillers dissolved because her face got warped to a point where she looked in herself in the mirror and she didn't see herself anymore. So she got all of her fillers dissolved, and she finally like, saw herself. Remembered what she sort of looked like. She said that like the process that you go through when your face begins to like to change and it looks really weird. She says that like to her, she looked fine. Like that's what she looks like now. Yeah.
I think it's because you're slowly getting used to your face morphing, so you don't notice it the way other people do.
Wow, that's insane. And she had the money to look however she wanted, but I understand not wanting to like look, man. There's times where I look in the mirror and I'm like, damn, like shit, I have more gray hair than black hair now, like and it's a realization you got to just come to, right? And I understand men are different, men and women are very different, and yeah, I don't believe
men age like fine wine. They just get fine.
See, I don't believe that. I mean, some of us do. But I think there's some women who age like fine wine too. I mean, it's just
There's some men who don't though.
Yeah,
I will be honest.
There's men who don't.
I do.
But for the most part, like it is something that you just gotta accept, right? Like there's times where I look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, this is it. This is where I am now, right? This is.
I will say the skunk hair is kind of nice though. Like I feel like if skunk hair is your biggest issue, you got a little salt and pepper thing going on with your hair. Like I feel like it's a good thing that comes with aging. I feel like the hair is not the worst part of it. I feel like women worry more about like things sagging.
Oh no, I see wrinkles from now. I see like there's things where I notice now that I didn't have obviously before. But it's just kind of like you just gotta like Pam, like accept what you are, accept what age you're in. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing more pathetic than a person not accepting their age. There's nothing more pathetic than that. When you see somebody like 50, 60, 70 still trying to hold on to it, it is sad. Because you can't. There's nothing you can do to hold on to it. You could try.
Madonna.
Right? And then you end up like Madonna.
Dude, I saw one of I don't know, it was like a clip on Twitter of one of her performances on stage. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like a little viejita walking around on stage with like a little humped back, like trying to get...
I saw that. Yes. it was so, oh my God. It was weird, man. I still remember the one where she fell off stage. And I'm like, you know what? It's probably because she couldn't see the steps because she's old now and your eyes start to go. Like there comes a point where it's just like you gotta let it go. I still remember that video where she's in concert where she kisses Drake in the chair. And
he's just like
Drake looked disgusted, like he wanted to throw up in his mouth. Like I was like, wow.
That was a non-consensual kiss, I tell you.
That's embarrassing, man. Like that is you don't come back from that. Like
No, she's got some hardcore fans that will defend her. Like,
sure, she does. So
tooth
does
and
Cher.
nail. So I think like I tweeted something about Madonna one time, and I had to mute the tweet because I got bombarded by her fans. Holy crap, it was crazy.
The gays came after you, huh?
Yeah. Oh, with a vengeance. With a vengeance. Oh my gosh. They started insulting my eyebrows for some reason. Like that's their go-to insult. I was like, whatever.
You know, there's two people you never insult. You never insult Madonna and you never insult Beyonce because their fans are rabid. They're like rabid dogs. And
or
Swifties really went in on my eyebrows. I'm just like, I don't care.
They'll come for you.
I don't care.
Yeah, no, that's insane. Yeah, no, age is a bitch. Trust me.
It was so funny. I think it might have been it was it might have been the video where she's like hunched back on the stage. I can't remember which video it was, but holy shit.
No, I remember that. And I was thinking, God, just stop. Just call it quits. You had a great career.
Yeah.
You had an amazing career. No one could ever touch your career, right? You were Madonna. You set trends back in the 80s and 90s, and you did it all. You could let it go now. You could just be,
I feel like the concept is
come
trying
back
to hold
once
on.
a year, like Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey comes back at Christmas time, and then she leaves at New Year's. Like that's perfect.
She's done. She does her 2-week stint, and she's out.
Just do what Mariah Carey does.
I feel like if I had the fame and money that Madonna has, I would retire and never think about it or talk about it again, and just get a farm somewhere. And then just not talk to anybody ever. I feel like that Hollywood lifestyle gets really overwhelming and really tiring after a few years.
Or do something behind the scenes, right? Like do something that doesn't involve you having to constantly be in the public eye, and I get it. When you get older, you don't want to stop working. You don't want to just, fade away and die, but do something that doesn't require all that. She's been in music for what? 40 years. Like, help younger girls, get into the business, help them do it the right way. Like, there's so many things she could be doing that don't involve her, kissing, young dudes on stage and making them throw up, like
there's just, I feel like with all of that, like time and like energy she put into her career, there must be a time where she's just like, oh, I want to stop and like rest for a bit, especially that age,
And she has the money to do it. It's not like she's broke. She has the money to
I will say, who aged really well is like Shania Twain.
Yeah, she looks pretty good.
Shania Twain, Demi Moore, they all aged really well. Jennifer Aniston. I mean, they definitely all had work. Ooh, gosh.
Demi Moore's had a lot of work done.
But she still looks good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've all had work done.
Yeah,
Jennifer Connelly.
Of course.
Jennifer Connelly's beautiful.
And look, and like I said, if it's just a little like nip tuck here and there, I get it, but it's when it changes your face completely, when you're like not recognizable anymore, that's when it's going way too far. And what's crazy is I know young girls now who have that weird look. I know girls who are like, I won't say girls, women who are like late 20s, early 30s who have that weird like plastic surgery look, and I'm like, why would you want
the
that?
Plastic surgery? It's being marketed to them as mini procedures or baby Botox, when there's no such thing. It's botulism. It's Botox.
Jesus Christ.
They can say that it's baby Botox. There's no such thing as baby Botox. That's just a way to market it to younger generations, to younger girls, and have it be appealing to them.
Baby Botox basically means 1 unit or half a unit instead of the regular 2 in the dosage they do, which still stops your muscles from moving. So it essentially does the exact same thing as regular Botox does. It's basically a discounted version because you're using half the amount. But Stephanie is right. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, but you're still putting it into skin that doesn't need it. Botox was designed for older women, and you're putting it in 20-year-old skin that doesn't need it because 20-year-olds have a lot of elasticity in their skin. It's basically brand new, and they're going to lose that. They're basically what is it? freezing their cells. Like they don't need it. They don't need the Botox.
Well, they're paralyzing their
They're
cells.
paralyzed.
Botox actually was originally made for muscle strains. So like migraines, TMJ, things like that. It wasn't meant to be used as something cosmetic. It was meant to be used actually for things like TMJ and migraine pain and all that. So when people are overeating,
what is TMJ again?
So TMJ is, let's say I eat a piece of bread that's too stiff or something, and my jaw kind of locks up, and the nerves in my jaw just shock my entire under jaw. So getting a little TMJ helps it so my jaw doesn't snap or click or go down too hard. So it doesn't trigger the nerve endings in my jaw to basically, because like when I get TMJ pain, it takes over the entire jaw. And basically, my jaw is just in severe pain for like 2 hours, 3 hours. It's awful.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's like a neurological thing, but yeah, the Botox, it doesn't help it completely, but it helps it a little bit. But that's kind of what it was originally produced for. And you have all these people just putting it in every single part of their body, in their face, and you're basically what you're doing is you're paralyzing your entire face essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
you're weakening your muscles underneath it.
The worst
Somebody calls it BJ syndrome. That's funny.
Well, that is kind of funny. The scariest part for me is the fact that more and more younger women are doing it. Some guys too, but not as much as the women are, obviously. My problem is when it gets down to like teenagers doing it, right? When you're like 16, getting injections or getting like plastic surgery done. Like, where do you go from there once you start at 16? It's not like you want to stop.
Why would you want to start at 16?
Some do though. Like, oh my God. Especially like out here in Beverly Hills. In Beverly Hills, these girls are getting surgeries like at 16. Like they're getting their noses done, they're getting their tits done. Like it's normal. Like they're doing it for their bar mitzvahs.
What doesn't make sense is that your nose still grows, I think, past the age of 22, 23. So if you're getting your nose done at 16, your nose is going to naturally grow out of that surgery into something else.
Well, that's why they keep getting it done.
That's awful.
That's how they get the repeat business.
Yeah, you need to leave LA. You need to get out of there.
LA is a city of hell. I get it. And trust me,
I'm from California. There's a reason. Like I made plans to move out as soon as I graduated high school. I never wanted to stay in California. I never liked California. It's not even just like it's not like anything to do with politics or anything. And also taxes. I feel like there's a certain culture in California that's very much like, it's just very superficial. I don't know if you understand like what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah,
I never knew my neighbors in California, whereas where I live now, I know all of my neighbors. I'm involved with my whole community. I feel like that's a culture that is very much involved. It's apparent everywhere else but California.
No,
like
you know
big
what?
cities.
Okay. There are parts of California that are like that, but when you live in LA, absolutely not. LA is not that place. Like there are parts of California, even cities adjacent to LA. Right, but LA itself, LA proper is not that place. It's pretty bad. It's so funny because every time me and Chris get together, to go drink or whatever, we talk about this every single time. We talk about we got to get out of LA. Every time we get together, it's like we need this exit strategy to get out of this place because.
Last time I was talking to Chris, I think I was trying to convince him to move to Florida because then at least he has theme parks.
Yeah, it's pretty soul.
Isn't it hard for like the work that y'all do though? Because it's easy.
It is, and that's kind of the problem. It's you know what though? I mean,
Hollywood's talking about moving to Texas
and Georgia. Well, they're already in Georgia.
Once that happens, then that'll be an easy.
Yeah, they're already in Georgia.
Yeah, but is that going to affect Texas the way it's affecting Georgia? Because Georgia's actually going downhill because of a lot of the tech stuff moving there.
Texas, there's certain cities in Texas that are already like crumbling, like Austin. Austin is lost.
Awful.
Austin has been lost to Californians, unfortunately. You can tell who was born and raised in Texas and who has relocated here. A part of me is like, dude, you left where you left because you hated the culture, you hated
that's why I get really mad
situation and what was around you. But you come to a new state and you continue to do,
and you ruin it more.
Instead of acclimating yourself to this new state, you continue with the attitude of like, oh, I'm just gonna continue with my views and just fuck up this state like I did my state. Oh, yep. I hate it.
It's kind of what illegal immigrants do, right? Like,
yes,
it's like they leave their fucked up country and then they come here and then they want to turn this country into that country. So I mean,
yeah, that's exactly
I will
what
say
they're doing.
It's funny when I meet people here in Florida and I say I'm from California originally, and they get they're like, oh, because there's so many Californians and New Yorkers who are moving down to like this area, not even Miami, to the Orlando area, and like things are just kind of like falling apart. My gosh, they're tearing down these beautiful plots of land with so if you didn't realize this, palm trees are actually not native to Central Florida, but what they're doing is they're tearing down a lot of these natural oak forests, which actually help during the hurricanes and like keep things from flooding. And they're replacing them with suburbs filled with palm trees, and palm trees can't handle the hurricanes that do blow through here because we don't get water, we get lots of wind. And a lot of these palm trees are now falling over and destroying people's houses because they're not supposed to be here. And a lot of it comes from Californians and New Yorkers buying up contracting plants and building these suburbs to sell to other Californians and New Yorkers. And they think, oh, Florida, we'll put palm trees everywhere. And then they do, and everyone's screwed because of it.
They're putting palm trees in Texas.
That's crazy.
Why?
Yes, they're putting palm trees in Texas. I see them in people's front yards. That's how you know they're from. That's how you know they're from California. They're like the first thing that they plant in their front yards is a fucking palm tree.
Stephanie, can I tell you something that's so funny about this? Is that palm trees aren't even native to California. They're not native to LA. But what they did was, so palm trees are not native to America, to like Northern America at all. But when they wanted to convince people to move to LA in the 1920s, they put a bunch of palm trees everywhere to convince people it was paradise. And so now it's palm trees, because they only like live for 100 years. They're all dying in LA. I think like somebody I know from LA pointed this out there. They're all dying basically. Like they're falling over and like crushing cars and stuff.
Yeah,
in LA.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
They're not native to North America. They're being brought in. And so people are like, well, I guess palm trees are big in the island area in Florida. Must be island culture, right? So we'll plant palm trees everywhere. And they don't realize they're tearing out oak trees, which are the single thing that are actually keeping a lot of the land out here from flooding. And it's awful. It's terrible. Yeah. And they're putting pickle courts everywhere. And ball is stupid. It's stupid. It's dumb. I hate it.
Yeah,
I want my oak trees and I want my moss. I love swamp. I like gators and moss, and that's why I moved here. And they're taking it away from me.
You can keep the gators. Everything else sounds good though.
They're my swamp kittens. I love them. They're so cute.
All right, guys, we're going to call it because, it's getting a little later and I don't want to keep these ladies up too late. I know they probably all have better things to do, but this was fun. I'm glad you guys were able to join me, man. I'm glad this was, your first experience. And even though it started out rocky, we found the groove and it was nice. It's normally not that rocky. I think because I did it on a Friday. See, that's the thing. I normally do it on a Thursday. I did it on a Friday and I jinxed myself. So. But yeah, no, I had a great time. I hope you guys did too. Definitely plug what you guys are doing.
Starting with me?
Starting you, Steph.
You just follow me on my channel, My Nerdy Home, Twitter and Instagram, same thing, My Nerdy Home. I make a bunch of videos and I stream a lot. Currently I'm doing I usually do nerdy news once a week. I'm trying to lock down a date and time, but it's a pretty long stream, so I don't know. I just do nerdy news when I have time. And then right now I'm doing a Lego. I'm putting together a Lego. I love Lego, and I'm putting together the Avengers Tower right now. So, but other than that, just a bunch of videos. Yeah.
Very cool. And you, Ashton?
Hi, I'm the Ashton Blaise, and I'm the Ashton Blaise on Instagram and Twitter. I am trying to get a YouTube show going to talk mainly about horror movies and try to have guests on to talk about horror movies. But I also like other movies too. Mainly the 80s. 80s culture is personally my favorite. So maybe I'll just talk about mainly that. I'm also currently working on writing a comic book. So stay tuned for that.
Really?
And yeah, I'm working on like it's actually superheroes, but I loosely base a lot of the stuff on my favorite horror movies from the 70s and 80s. So I'm involving a lot of that into the process. So I've been working with an amazing artist. I'm writing everything. I'm working on all the characters. So I'm very excited about that. So if you want to hear more about that, that'll be on my Twitter, well, X. I always call it the wrong name on accident.
I still call it Twitter to this
day. It's so hard to keep up with. But and I'll be trying to get more YouTube videos out soon. And I have a few conventions coming up. So I have a convention coming up in I believe Savannah, Georgia, Columbus, and Orlando. So I'll be posting all of my convention meet and greets on my Twitter as well. X.
Very cool. If you haven't read it, Ashton, there's a really cool horror comic called Hack and Slash.
Okay, I think I've heard of that actually.
Oh, it's such a good comic. Like I don't even read horror comics, but that one I love. I have the omnibus of like of the collected series. It's so good. And it's all about this young, cute girl. She's the last girl, you know what I mean? The one to survive all the horror.
The final
films.
girl, yeah.
She's the final girl, but her stepfather, who's also her bodyguard, sort of, is a serial killer. In the vein of like a Jason Voorhees, right? It's a crazy comic. It is one of the best ones out there, I think. But you should find it. It's called Hack and Slash.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting, actually.
Really good book. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And like I said, I normally do this on Thursdays, but things happened this week where I had to push it back. But I will be back next Thursday at 6 p.m. PST as normal. And I hope you guys enjoyed the ladies' night. We talked about some different things that we normally don't talk about on the show. And I think it was good. I think it was fun. So you guys have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.